Hey, dude, how you doing?
Not bad, man.
Oh, good stuff. Good to catch you up. How you doing in isolation then?
That's fun. Yeah, it's a bit weird, mate. I mean, it's nice. I'm bloody glad the weather's all right, to be honest with you, because it would be a whole lot worse if it was shitty and cold, wouldn't it? But yeah, no, right. I'm just making music and just trying to get my head around stuff, really.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, like, obviously you did your album last year. I gather that's gone all right. Everything's doing well.
Yeah, it seems to be all right. I mean, it can always do better. Do you know what I mean? I would have liked it to have gone out to to be heard by a lot more people. That's kind of one of the reasons why I've sort of been holding back from releasing new material, because you release an album, you want to be spending at least a year really promoting that. But there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can do, really. And if it's not if it's not kind of hitting the masses, then it's a bit of a difficult one, isn't it? Because I've contacted a few labels and they've said, have you already released the album? And I'm like, well, yeah, and they go cold because it's already been released, even though I say, very specifically, well, it's only a case of getting it taken down off Spotify, and all the streaming services, and just take it down and re-release it, But don't know. So far, no luck. But no, it's cool. I mean, the response to people that have bought the album really, really like it. Which is really what it's all about at the end of the day. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I'm just trying to think of new ways to keep on going with it. And I do want to release new material.
Yeah.
And I want to keep it fresh. I know the original sort of mandate that I had was to just release singles. And I just got a lot of people saying we really want an album. So, I kind of did it. But I'm thinking what we might do. We might release a new single really soon, actually, and just keep releasing singles, And then if at the end of the day, once the stuff is, I mean, obviously you can't just release one song and put it on a CD because it's just not cost effective. So I think if we just release singles digitally, then at least it keeps everything sort of fresh and things moving. And then maybe once there's almost an album's worth out, then I can release it on CD or vinyl, that kind of thing, for people that want it on a physical medium. But yeah, I don't know yet. I'm still trying to think about what to do. I'm trying to get a plugger involved, for the new single. So we'll see. I mean, it's not an easy time at the moment, but having said that, I think a lot more people are listening because there's more people at home now, isn't it? So
what else can people do? What else can people do apart from listening to music and try and catch up with stuff they may have not heard? It makes an excellent time, it really is. And I was going to say, I mean, are you keeping in contact with the band?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're not talking massively, but I am in contact with the guys, but they're getting on with their own stuff, so yeah, it's fine. Stuff will still tick over. I mean, the likelihood of us doing any gigs this year is pretty remote. We've got one already booked in December in Brighton, but again, we don't know what the law's going to say. Whether whether venues are going to be allowed to open. We don't know yet. So I'm using this time to basically just think about a lot of stuff and write. I'm doing all sorts of stuff. I've just finished a collaboration with a guy that mixes my tracks. And then that's now just been finished. So hopefully that'll be out pretty soon. Basically, Carl, he's called Crossflow. He did all the music. Sent me just a piece of music to write lyrics and sing over. So I did that, sent it back to him, and I've heard the finished result, and it sounds pretty cool. So yeah, it's something to kind of keep the IAMWARFACE name alive, for the time being. And I know I've got a few people working on some remixes of stuff as well. I want to put a remix album out maybe June, July, that kind of time.
And your missus cuts your hair, I gather. Zed, she's looking after your hair.
She certainly does. I mean, she is a hairdresser, so it's that's a. If you're going to be in lockdown, be in lockdown with a hairdresser.
Yeah, look at this.
It looks good on you, beard, though. I think you look good with a beard.
It's going out of control, dude. It's going out of control. Look at the hair.
Control. Fuck it.
I'm going to come out of this like Jesus.
Well, if you're able to turn water into wine, mate, I'm happy with that.
Who knows? Who knows?
Mm.
So I mean, yeah. So it's well, it's good, really. I mean, I know you like a lot of people were having ups and downs, as we sort of keep wondering what's going on, and you know, even creatively, you can't keep manufacturing the inspiration or the energy, can you? Do you alternate though? Do you sort of, if you're not having a musical spell, do you then go into graphics and your imagery?
Sometimes. I mean, it's the problem. Things with music is it's really it's all based on how you feel at the time, and you know, you never know where inspiration is going to come from. So it's really difficult to try and force yourself to write something. You know, it's like at the moment, I know I've got a load of tracks that are half written and stuff like that. But sometimes trying to get the inspiration to actually get up there and finish it, is what I'm working on at the moment. And it sounds really good until the chorus comes in, and there's no chorus because I haven't written one yet. And that's quite unusual for me because I normally write the choruses first. Normally everything revolves around the chorus. So I'm having a bit of a problem with that. And it's just, it's not easy being motivated sometimes, and it's certainly, in the last sort of 3-4 weeks, I've been really up and down with stuff. I've been, quite depressed, and then one minute really happy. And, as I say, thank God the weather's good, but it's difficult. It's difficult. And the other morning I decided I'd start doing a bit of artwork. So started doing a new piece. But then some days I wake up and I'm like, it was the other day I was saying to my missus, I just feel like I don't have any passion for anything right now. I don't, nothing matters. Do you know what I mean? It was like everything is just fucking transient and just like, whatever. So it's not a difficult time to be in, and it's quite worrying as well. I mean, you know what I think about a lot of stuff. It's not the easiest of times, and it is worrying. We don't really know what is going on, and I don't think we're being told fully what is going on. It's difficult, mate. It's difficult. But
have you actually stopped working now yourself, or are you still having to go to work in dribs and drabs?
I've pretty much stopped working. I mean, unless it's an emergency, if someone hasn't got any hot water, then I'll go and help them out. But yeah, pretty much. It's okay. I mean, good thing about I'm losing my train of thought, mate. It's all right.
I'll bring you back. It's like I gather it might be a bit the same as me. When I go out to work, it just sort of brings you back to a bit of normality almost for a minute, and that's why I sort of brought it up. And I also noticed that, and why I believe, is that when you've got something to rebel against, it really helps the creative juices going. So when you've got normal work, you've got something to push against. When you're in this kind of weird limbo state, I feel like you haven't got as much to push against. I don't know if it's the same for you. Yeah,
it depends really. Again, as I say, it's mainly down to the mood. I mean, it's like this morning. I woke up quite angry about stuff. Just by the way, if stuff really does get bad, and if it is being done by design, and I know this sounds a bit tinfoil hat. I listen to both sides of the story.
No, I do myself.
I don't listen to David Icke and believe everything he says. I'm not on board with conspiracy theory stuff, but something in my gut tells me that there's something wrong. And it's just depressing when you wake up in the morning, and if that is the case, and I'm not saying it is, but if it is the case and there is some kind of nefarious grand plan, for the government to basically fuck everyone, then the only people we got to blame are ourselves for letting it happen. and not opening our eyes and opening our ears, you know. As I say, I hope to God that my gut instinct is wrong. I hope there is no nefarious thing going on, and it is just a virus, and it will go away and things will go back to normal. But I don't know. Something tells me that there is something going on about it, and it just fucking pisses me off. You know, it makes me really bloody angry. So you know, this morning I woke, you know, I got out of bed, you know, I had my breakfast, and I'm like, right, I'm going to go and write this fucking tune now, because it's kind of about, it's about how I feel, you know. So good time, you know. As you say, when you haven't got the distraction of work, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Because I say, sometimes what will happen is I'll go and do my day job, and I'll come home. By the time I get home, I'm bloody knackered. All I want to do is put Netflix on. You know, it's difficult to be motivated. But in this sort of time, when you're doing nothing, you can get motivated quite quickly with stuff.
Yeah. So what do you reckon? Do you reckon that'll be enough for the serious stuff? Or I mean, I gather the video could be edited even. So if we talk about something else, it don't matter.
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, we can definitely edit it out. I mean, maybe we don't even need to edit this out. Let's just keep it natural. Let's just keep on having a talk, man. Do you know what I mean? Just talk about anything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, look, you know as well as I do that we share the same viewpoints with reading stuff that, as you say, will be alternative news.
Yeah.
And I think we're alike. I don't just get hold of a piece of information from some willy-nilly person and think, yeah, that's it. They're telling me more of the truth than you know, someone in authority with a suit. I mean, exactly. I think that is the truth, though. The truth is, we've got so used to people telling us lies. This could be the truth now, but telling so many lies for so long as it's cry wolf, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think the perspective I come from is, I think most people could probably agree that politicians lie all the time. You know, they always fucking lying to us. And if they're lying to us, why are they lying? What are they trying to hide? Because if you've got nothing to hide, then why lie? Yeah. I know people lie because they want to get into power, you know, this, that, and the other. But it's never been, you know, we know governments aren't just. We know governments generally aren't looking out for our well-being, because if they were, we'd be living in a really fucking decent place right now, you know. But they're not, and it's clear they're not. So why? You know, that's the only question. You've just got to ask yourself why. And I think if you ask yourself that, then you open yourself up to other trains of thought, you know. And there's a lot of shit out there as well. You know, there's stuff that people send me where I just can't get on board. You know, I look at it and just like, nah, really, no, I'm not, you know, I can't get on board that. But there's other stuff that does make sense, you know. And I'm not saying everyone in government is a fucking arsehole. You know, they're obviously not. But I don't know. I just personally feel there's something going on. There's something going on that we're not being told about. You know, and when people, you know, say you're a conspiracy theorist and all that, I mean, what's a conspiracy? It's when people you know, they gather in secret and talk about stuff that we don't hear about. That's conspiring. That's a conspiracy. There's no theory behind that. That's a fact. That's what they do. So who knows? You know, again, I will always sit on the fence unless I can get a cold hard fact about something. I will be like, yeah, that's what's going on. I can make an educated guess. I can post stuff up on Facebook and say, what do you guys think about this? Let's discuss it. You know, the whole 5G thing. You know, I've been, you know, bombarded with loads of stuff. People sending me links about 5G and how bad it is for everyone. I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist. I can't test or prove it. I can only go by, you know, by what people send me, and also go by, you know, the other side of the coin. People send me stuff that say, well, this is scientific fact showing that it's not, you know, it's not harmful. But then that fact is coming from that one person. This fact is coming from that one person who's probably just as just has just as much right to basically, make their own findings and, make it public as to that person who's in the mainstream media, who's classed as, I can't even think of the words at the moment. My brain.
No, I know.
My brain.
Today, so. I mean, I think when we hear that things are about agendas,
yeah,
I mean, it's a word that we use anyway, and now we hear it's all this sinister work in the background. It's something. It's weird because in that case itself, they're both aligned. The conspiracy theorist or the politician, they both seem to have an agenda.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and it's just the one who's got the biggest agenda. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm with you on that.
I mean, there's other stuff as well. I mean, I was having this conversation with my friend earlier on today. You've only got to look at some of the stuff that is factual, like Epstein and all that, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very clear there's a lot of child trafficking going on, and it's going on very, very high up. Why is it going on? Do you know what I mean? Why are all these people that are high up fucking, kiddie fiddling? What the fuck's all that about?
It's money, dude. It's money. It's plain and simple. It's money. I mean, I don't condone it, but it's obviously showing you that people have reached a level of boredom. They've got to a point where they've got so much money, they don't know what to do with it. And that also proves that how much money does someone have to be happy? And if that kind of thing makes you happy, then we all know there's something wrong with that as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm going back to the point. If someone, say for Epstein, for instance, right now, I think it's pretty. I'd say most people would agree that he wasn't suicide. He didn't commit suicide, right? There's a lot of evidence to show that he definitely did not commit suicide. So what are they hiding there? And what does that mean? Does that mean people higher up, politicians are in on it? And if these fucking politicians are in on it, they're running the planet. So how can anyone say it's a conspiracy theory that these guys are fucking bad news? Because they clearly are bad news. You've only got to look at the fact that Jimmy Savile was a fucking close confidant of Prince Charles and all the royal family. Very, very, very close to the royal family, and you telling me they didn't have a clue what he was up to? It doesn't make sense that they wouldn't have a clue to me. So if they knew what was going on, then it's a horrible.
People did, yeah, on that one, Matt. People did know. I mean, there was nurses that come forward or come forward afterwards saying the people they work with were telling them, well, it's just Jimmy. Jimmy's in with a kid in a hospital, but it's just Jimmy. It's just what Jimmy does. I mean, personally, if I'd been the nurse or the doctor or whoever spotting something that was untoward, I would have said something. And I don't care if my boss come along and told me, well, it was just Jimmy, because I don't know where compassion or where compassion was within these individuals who were nurses or doctors. Didn't think, you know what, I don't like you telling me it's just Jimmy. Someone needs to know about this. But obviously he got very brazen, very blasé about what he was doing because he knew who was involved with him. He wasn't the only one. It's quite evident.
Absolutely.
And just because he's died, and just because no one's got any, well, they can't release their anger about this guy because obviously, how can you be angry about someone who's dead and escape the system, if you like? But the thing is, he left a history. He left a trail, and he knows there's a lot of people out there probably very happy he was got rid of, but not for the reasons of you and I, but because he weren't going to be able to point the finger or draw attention to these individuals anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, haven't they even closed down, didn't they? Well, I mean, how many people joined that? Was it the Chilcoot investigation or whatever it was? How many people joined that? And every time people joined it, they couldn't go any further because of what they were uncovering. Then abandoned it. It was taken over by someone else, and every subsequent person who's ever got so far down the line has abandoned it because of what they discovered.
Yeah.
So what's that telling you?
Well, it's either that. Well, yeah, they've either got so far into it, someone's warned them and said, "You go any further with this, there'll be trouble." I mean, again, if people watching this video that we're filming now think that that's all a load of crap and it's all conspiracy theory shit. I mean, this stuff happens all the bloody time. There was that guy was it a Russian guy who was found in a hotel a few years back, and he committed suicide, and he was found zipped up in in a bag in a bath. So you're telling me he killed himself and then zipped himself up?
Well, it was like David Kelly as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, he went,
stuff, wasn't it?
he was the one talking about the Iraq War, the one who said there was no missiles of mass destruction. Where we all know that's true these days. But he was so obviously stressed by it all. He decided they'd go out on a pleasant day and commit suicide in a method they would have found very, very difficult to have done. He took drugs. Apparently, he wasn't one for popping pills and being able to swallow them. He had that anxiety problem or whatever. He couldn't really swallow pills, but he swallowed a whole bottle that day. And not only did he swallow the whole bottle, he wiped the bottle clean to make sure his fingerprints weren't on it. You know, of course, that's what a natural person does when they commit suicide. But not only that, he'd also cut his wrist, hoping to sever a particular vein or whatever. But he hadn't actually cut an artery he should have cut. He did a small artery that actually dried up before it could even bleed out. So the truth of the matter is, even though he attempted this thing, and I don't know. No, I mean, the truth is that I think certain things should never be forgotten. And obviously he was quite determined to go, you know, this guy was determined to go back to Iraq to prove his point. He had two daughters. They were both getting married that year as well. One had already got married. Now, under any circumstance, you're a father, you're not going to distinguish the difference between two of your children. You're not going to say, oh, I'll go to this daughter's wedding and I won't go to the other one. Even if he wanted to commit suicide, he would have hung around until his other daughter got married. He would have made sure it was fair and just. So the truth of the matter is, just like what you're seeing here and now, these people go so far, but then they miss bits. They forget there's other bits to what they need to do in order to make their story a bit more concrete. They're just so blasé. That, they just think they've got away with it. And in most cases, you're seeing the country at the moment, it's a full 50-50 thing, isn't it? There's people that agree and there's people that disagree. I don't think you and me are going to be able to sway people to think differently, but it'd be nice for people to actually think rather than keep just taking.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You know, people are so easy to just kind of jump down your throat and just say, no, that's bullshit. You know, and what they do is they completely misconstrue the original message. I mean, it's like the other day, I think it was Sunday night, someone sent me a link to this graph. I opened the link up and it was showing me a graph, and it was apparently showing me the I can't remember the actual name of it, but it showed me the energy field of the Earth. Okay, it's a graph, right? And on Sunday it spiked massively spiked. So I said, well, what's all this about? And they were saying, well, it looks like this graph might have come from NASA. I don't know who it came from, but it might have come from NASA, the actual graph. But their belief was that the energy level spiked because the amount of people on the planet were like a vibrational energy. Because loads of people on the planet were, I can't think of the most stupidest bloody words at the moment. My brain's all foggy.
Was this when they were doing that spiritual thing or whatever, or meditation or something like that?
It's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, sorry, I'm normally much better at words, but yeah, for some reason I'm having a brain block. Yeah, so apparently it's because people were meditating. Okay, now whether you believe in all that stuff or not is, you know, it's by the by. A lot of people do believe in it, and it's not a harmful thing to believe in. You know, meditation helps loads and loads of people, and meditation is about energy fields and, you know, and putting stuff towards you and making yourself feel better. So if mass meditation can cause the vibrational energy of the planet to spike, then that's fucking cool, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, I know I'm going to intervene a second.
Yeah.
And I hope you don't mind me doing so, but I was having a chat with a guy in a kebab shop last night about this very thing, actually, about how if you think about a concert, and we know about that, but that's going to make people in a good spirit. And I'd even go so far about if people were using these spikometers at a concert, they'd probably find there's a lot of high energy and happy, positive energy in that environment. But if you went to a meeting or a work meeting or something, which is quite boring and drab, and took a meter reading of something like that, I'm sure it would plummet down and go the other way. So
Well,
there
yeah.
has to be. And energy, positive and negative, is created for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I also think the power of intention. You know, it's like my missus was saying earlier on. She used to go to church, and it wasn't like a, you know, it was like a happy clappy sort of church type thing. You know, nothing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a, you know, massively big church or anything. But there used to be healing nights, right? So they have a whole, you know, be absolutely packed, and people would go up on stage and be healed by the main pastor guy, right? And apparently it works for a lot of people, and it's not because you may say it's God healing them. My wife's belief is it's an energy form. If everyone in the room is basically concentrating their positive energy on that one thing, then that one thing is getting bombarded by shitloads of positive energy, right?
Yeah.
So it can have an effect. It's like when it's a well-known fact. If you're feeling depressed, then your immune system drops. So your mental state has a direct impact on your physical body. And likewise, positive energy has an effect on your, you know, on your physical body and physical food as well. It's like, you know, you play Beethoven, you've got plants in the room. The plants grow really nicely. You know, I think it's Beethoven, but that's been proven. It's been proven that that's what happens.
But hang on, that doesn't mean your my music is killing plants.
Well, no, I haven't tested that.
Let's hope not.
I haven't tested that yet. But the point of the matter is, right? So, energy fields, you know, positive affirmations, positive thoughts can change things. You know, it can change things physically. So anyway, getting back to the point about people, I posted it up on Facebook the other day, and I got shit for it. People basically calling me out bullshit, and then going on about, that's not NASA. You should, you know, you should check your facts before you put this. You know, I can't talk probably today either. You should check your facts before you put this crap online. And I'm like, you're completely missing the point of what my message was. My message was, it's exciting if people are able to change, a frequency of a planet simply by the power of positive thought, then that's really fucking cool. But no, these people just basically lambast you for.
Yeah, but I mean, recently, Matt, you know, I don't know if I've hit or discovered something new. I feel like I did in a way. But there was a guy who was just completely negative to every single post. It didn't matter if it was a positive or a negative post. It didn't matter if it was to do with news, reality.
Was that the guy you said? Was that the guy you said? Was that the guy you said I should troll?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I didn't bother him. I thought, no, I can't get involved.
No, I've subsequently decided I'd block him and move on, because I felt that actually. It was weird. Through weird kind of discovery in his own psychology, he crashed, because I basically I turned things around a little. I can't remember what made me think about it. It might have been someone else actually, but it suddenly occurred to me he may be working for Facebook, and there are people and people going around actually identifying people not towing the line by their thoughts or posts, etc. And actually joining them as friends, but then actually all they do is actually try and avert you from doing it. Because this guy was quite powerful. Don't get me wrong; he was very clever to an extent, and would just lambast you all the time, keep bringing you down. But if you think about that, if you're not a strong character, you're going to be worn down by that. You're going to curb your thoughts. You're going to change your opinions, potentially, or just disappear and go away if you like. Yeah. And I thought, and I ended up. He posted something, and I busted him. I said, look, these have been interesting conversations. We've had a lot of banter, but I think I know what you're about now. And because of that, that's going to change everything. And he went completely quiet, which was really unusual, because this guy always responds. He's alive or active for 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I thought, come on, reply like you usually do. Why aren't you replying? Well, he took that post down. After an hour or so, he'd taken that post down completely.
Yeah.
And then about an hour or so later, he decided to put up some sort of mocking post on his own Facebook page. And me and a friend did have a little joke with him, saying about him putting up conspiracy theories. And he didn't respond. He didn't react for over 5 hours, which is just unheard of. Yeah. And subsequently, that does lead you to believe, well, in fact, someone else discovered that he was actually a computer data programmer or something, which kind of means he was obviously related to a field of work that could certainly well be within the perimeters of a social media site. So I'm now suspecting that some people aren't who they seem to be.
They're basically shills employed to you know. Well, yeah, it's funny you should say that, because someone recently on Facebook, they posted up something, and I said, well, how do you do that? And they then told me how to do it. If you go into your settings, you do it on your phone as well. You go into your settings on Facebook. I'll try and find it whilst I'm here. And this was really quite interesting. So on your screen, right, you've got settings at the bottom. You go into settings and privacy, and then you go into settings, and then you scroll down, and it says, oh bollocks, where was it? Blocking, I think it was. Yeah, right. So you go to the blocking page, okay?
Yep.
Can you see how many fact checks there are?
Oh my word.
So if you go onto the blocking thing and you type in fact checker or fact check or fact CHEK, there was hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of fact checkers. Now, why would you sign up to Facebook with a profile name called fact checker unless you're being asked to or employed by Facebook to check facts online? So for instance, if I post something up online, right, I could post something up that says, you know, the COVID-19 was made in a lab, right? And now if that's against the current narrative, fact checkers will see that, then they delete it. So you can actually go in and block. You type in fact checker, it comes up with all those people that are called fact check or fact checker. Fucking block a lot of them. So, which is what I've done. So then you haven't got someone.
That list was quite large.
Yeah, it was a very large one. Yeah, but you know, the thing is that the fact that some people are being paid out there to silence other people. You know, I mean, if you're posting up something saying, you know, that we should go out and start beating up, you know, whites should go out and start beating up black people, or you know, China needs to be nuked, or what, do you know what I mean? Some kind of hate stuff. Then absolutely get rid of that on Facebook, because it shouldn't be on there. But posting up your own belief on stuff, you know, and as I say, stuff I post up, it's not my belief. I don't believe it. I like to think outside the box, and I don't like to listen to the popular narrative of stuff.
Matt, you may well be like me. You get information passed through you, and you digest it, and you read it, and you think to yourself for a minute, this may be probable. And sometimes when you're actually putting that post up yourself, is to see what the reaction is from other people too, like you do in a conversation. Something like we're doing now. You're chewing the fat.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not trying to convince each other. You're not trying to do anything. You're not trying to create any hatred. You're trying to form an opinion. If someone comes along to you and just categorically says to you, that's a load of bullshit, we can swear because you have many times. But someone says to you that is a load of bullshit, and you suspect that because of that you put the post up within a minute, and if you put a link up to something that you'd read that takes maybe 10 minutes, or a video that you'd have to absorb and watch in 20 minutes, or an audio clip for 10 minutes, how can they respond saying it's bullshit when you know for sure they haven't had the time to digest and read what you've gone and put up there? So their aspect is no use. It's no use at all, is it? Because it's like you can't say that because you haven't read that. You're not bringing anything to the table whatsoever, constructive or anyways, because what you're doing is just saying, I've already seen something like that, and I can't consider absorbing that in my head at all, because I'm happy to go along with what I'm being told, like a nodding dog.
Yeah. Well, it was like the other day. It was about this energy field thing that I posted up, And someone was calling it out and just saying, no, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And I said, well, why is it bullshit? You know, you show me your argument as to why it's bullshit. And there was no argument there. You know, it's not like he was posting up. He was giving me links to scientific facts. You know, so supposed scientific facts that what I said was bullshit.
Yeah.
Now, even if he did do that, those supposed scientific facts might have come from a well-renowned scientist, you know, someone who's working with the government or whatever. That's just that one scientist's opinion. You've got another scientist, someone that might have been working in the field of, you know, medicine for like 30 years, who says that COVID-19 is not a natural virus. So who's telling the truth? Just because that is an official thing from an official, government body doesn't mean that it's true, you know?
Mind you, Matt, I don't know, sorry to cut you again, but
No,
I sometimes find, and you mentioned it already when you talked about the gut instinct, because I think we should really rely on our primitive instincts on everything, really. A lot of the time, we shouldn't ever really get cut off from that idea of thought. But when people are, I like it when they're on video, actually, because that actually shows you the characters and the facial expressions. And I don't know about yourself, but sometimes that's what makes you get drawn in as well, to be honest. Because someone will be on there and they're very passionate about what they're talking about. Whereas a politician is very hard-nosed and definitely following a script. So there is a complete difference between the two people anyway when they're telling you things. One is telling you something that you can actually look at from a human point of view. Yeah. And this other person is telling you like in a robotic type fashion, if that makes sense.
Oh man, it was yesterday I was listening to LBC Live. I listen to LBC loads. It's a great program. Yeah, it was a whole live thing in the House of Commons, and they're having this debate, you know, on you know, PPE and, you know, the way forward and all this kind of stuff. And soon as who's the guy that's standing in for Boris Johnson again? What's his name?
The Hancock guy, or the other one.
I can't remember. I can't remember his name. Anyway,
well, I mean, I think I don't really watch the news, to be honest with you, Matt. I've you know, it's the same every day, isn't it? And it's just like bully boys.
Yeah. But anyway, so I think it's the Deputy Prime Minister. I can't remember his name. But anyway, they're having this big conversation, and it's all that was going on LBC, right? And so other MPs were calling in because they're at home, so they're calling in on you know, Skype or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of the MPs asked a very direct question and just said, I can't remember what the bloody question was. As I say, my brain's a bit foggy today, so I've been ill for the last 3 days, and I've just started feeling better today. So, but they asked me a very direct question and just said, all we want is a yes or no answer. Are you willing to do this? And it was like listening to Boris Johnson. They speak exactly the same. They do exactly the same things. He literally skirted around the question again, and I'm just like, you're talking from a script, mate. You're not talking from the heart. You're not talking to a person. You're literally just talking to a fucking robot. It's a scary thing, mate. I find the whole thing quite terrifying, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going on for a long time, and just some people have said that what we've got is a slow progression of systematically getting us more and more used to this way. Yeah. So you know, it's been a process. The whole government structure over what I'd say from my, well, I'm not interested in it really, but seeing it the way it creeps, doesn't it? And it just gets bigger and bigger with its authoritarian sort of mannerisms and ways, and it just expects you to expect it's not going to answer a simple question as well. Sometimes it's just going to you're going to ask a question, but you're going to get one back. And if you don't play ball, you know, it's like, well, that's all you're going to get. Now, what if you're talking to people who are running these departments and they can't talk properly, then why are they running the departments? Yeah. I mean, this is why I've valued. I've got to the point where I think that money is obviously a big problem, because it's, as I said earlier, it's already proven that people with a lot of money aren't happy. So and they go to different lengths and try and do different things. I also wonder if people have actually got in their head that we are mortal. I mean, this process now is actually starting to indicate to people, you may walk out of your house today and actually contract something. In 5 days later, you may not be here. So I think it's a nice reality check for some people to realise that actually life doesn't just carry on like it never has done. It's always been this fine balance. You know, I'm sure the person who goes out and has an accident and never recovers, etc., they didn't go out and intend for that to happen either. It's unfortunate. But we are mortal, and we've all been given one life to live. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us don't actually live a life. I think a lot of us are controlled. You know, it's going to be quite interesting on the back end of this, where people actually do go back to work, because I'm sure they've quite enjoyed not having a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday job, waking up to alarm calls every day. You know, actually spend some time with people that they value more. The whole process, and actually realise, what am I doing, and what have I been doing? How much money have I spent on commuting? How much time do I waste commuting? You know, all these things. Why am I taking a train or a bus full of people and it's packed and I'm standing on my feet and I'm irritable before I've even started work? Let alone when you're going home in your truck. You see what I'm on about? I mean, the whole of the world we've been living in under this, well, certainly here in the UK, it's mainly suppression, and it has been suppression. So I kind of do really wonder where their minds will go once they realise that actually this was, as much as people are trapped at home and perhaps not being able to do exactly what they want. There's certainly more, or there should be less tension to their normal day, not the usual stresses of work itself. And as I said, even just the commuting. How does that work, man? I mean, honest to God, waking up to an alarm. So you're not even waking up properly. And then you're going through the motions of having breakfast, having a shower, getting on board some sweaty train or bus or whatever, right? Or sitting in a car in a traffic jam for 2 hours. And you haven't even started work.
It's akin to slavery, isn't it? You know, I mean, I suppose it all depends on how much you love your job. If you love your job, then maybe it's worth doing that. But I mean, if your job's shit, then I mean, thing is, some people don't have a choice. You know, some people don't feel any kind of self-worth, or feel they can't get out of their jobs. You know, I mean, it's kind of a similar thing with me. You know, I've been doing my job for a long time. I don't really have any passion for it, but it puts food on the table. And I was just saying today, actually, that maybe it's actually a good thing I do what I do. I mean, I'm a heating engineer by trade. And if the economy does tank and everything does go down, people are still going to need their boilers fixed. They're still going to need a plumber, which means I'm probably going to be all right. In a selfish way of looking at it, I'll probably still be okay, still be able to earn a bit of money. But, you know, I suppose you've always got to look at both sides. And, you know, is the grass always greener? You know, it's like my friend was saying to me a few weeks back. I was saying, you know, all I really want to be able to do is to make music and earn a living at making music. I don't need a Lamborghini. I don't need a, you know, massive bloody house or, you know, swimming pool, all that kind of stuff. I live in a 1-bedroom flat in Brighton. I'm quite happy here. You know, I've got my cats, got my wife, I've got my TV. Do you know what I mean? I've got my little studio. I've got everything I really need, right? I just like to not have to do my day job, because I don't have any passion for it. It's not that it's a shit job. It's not that it's horrendous or strenuous, or, you know, it can be stressy sometimes because you're dealing with the public. But I'd like to be able to earn money just doing music. But not everyone has that luxury of being able to have a job and be self-employed, where you can go and do your job, come home, and it pays for me to now be able to do my music. And you've got to look at it. You've sometimes really got to look at the positives of things. But some people don't have that. They don't have that ability. Some people are stuck working in Tesco's or whatever. You know, they don't have any other. They may not have any other hobbies they want to do. So it's some people have got it a lot fucking harder, you know, than what we have.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, you know, we've all been given a life, haven't we? I mean, And that's kind of what. But I don't know. There's a part of me that says that it's always been simple. Our life has always been. We've always had the ability to have simple, and yet all we seem to have done through evolution is created loads of problems. Because I mean, who wouldn't just enjoy going out and just enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the countryside, breathing air, just having water and food, roof over your head? You don't need more than that, really.
No, you don't. You don't need all. You don't.
Life can be quite basic.
Yeah, and I think sometimes a basic life is a good thing. There's so many things. So you look at a lot of celebrities. They go around with £5,000 handbags and shit like that. Why do you need a £5,000 fucking handbag? That. I tell you what pissed me off the other day. That. What's his name? Bloody hell, my brain. I wish my brain was working well today. 69, that rapper with the big 69 tattooed on his head. He just got put in prison a few months back.
Right.
I can't remember his name now. I'll look him up. Hang on. I'll find him.
Right. Yeah.
Hang on.
That's all right.
I'll find out what his name is.
You'll probably find his name 69.
Right. It's called Takeshi 69, right?
All right. Yeah.
This fella here.
All right. Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah. Right. I mean, a lot of people love him, right? He's a big star. Now he's gone away. He went away in prison for, I think it was assault and sexual. I think it was sexual assault as well. But I think he was threatening to kill someone, or he had inadvertently caused someone to be killed. Right? It was this whole gangster rap shit. And he went away for it, and he's now just been let out. And the first thing he did when he got let out was just go and blow a shit ton load of money on just shit. I mean, it was just crap, right? And then took a selfie of himself lying there covered in money. And I'm just thinking, if this is what this world is about, I don't want to be here anymore, mate. I really don't, and people buy into that. And it's that kind of rhetoric, the kind of shit that goes on, with a lot of popular music as well. All it's really doing is telling the worker ants that this is what you could have, but you can't. And everyone wants it. So everyone's striving to have it, which is why you have talent shows like X Factor and people thinking, yeah, I can be a star. And they can't. You've either got it or you haven't got it.
Well, you know as well as I do, you don't need to go on a program to get out there and do something. I mean, if you're just waiting to get on television to get through to a final to achieve, then you've already sort of, I don't know, you've already said you can't do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you've already given up. I would even if you fucking pay. I mean, if someone gave me £1 million to go on X Factor and audition, then yeah, I'd do it for a complete fucking laugh, because I could do £1 million, right? But I'd never in a million years go on one of those things. It's utter bullshit. Funny enough, I got contacted by this fella, must have been about 3 or 4 months ago. And he was shooting a pilot for a new kind of talent show, like X Factor, but it involved live bands, and it would involve like traveling around the country, playing to live audiences, and then the audiences would vote off the bands and all this kind of stuff. And the idea was it would become a show and go out, and millions of people would see it. And it could help the career, right? So I thought that's quite an interesting, it's basically fucking X Factor, right? But hopefully more geared towards realism as opposed to fakery. And I took it to the band, and I said, well, this guy, I had a Skype chat with him and his producer, and he was like, yeah, he was asking me all sorts of questions about myself. By the way, I've never heard from him again. But anyway, so I took it to the band, and everyone was like, yeah, maybe. And Mike was like, nah, it's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. You're selling your fucking soul, and, you're not going to have any kudos after it. And I'm like, well, is that true? Or is that, could we still do that and still have a bit of kudos, if it would help get people listening to the music? But I think Mike was right. I think Mike was completely fucking right about it. Why would you want to do something? I'd rather be a poor fucking musician than be selling my soul and having a record label telling me what I can and can't release, you know, and no, it's got to be this way. It's got to sound like that. Fuck that. I'd rather do it my way. And I always have done shit my way. And that's probably the reason why I've never had a bloody record deal. You know, I don't play by the book with people.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Didn't you? Well, I was going to say, didn't you say there was some weirdness about BBC that time when you played on a BBC Six show a while back, and they had some sort of permission over some of your tracks afterwards? Was there something like that?
No, not at all, not at all. No, I did it, and we did BBC Introducing. That was a couple of years ago now, as the old lineup of the band. We did BBC Introducing and filmed it, and it's on YouTube. But no, I've never had anyone saying that we can't use anything. They were really nice as well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. No. That wouldn't have been. That wasn't me said that. No. I mean, I've never had anyone, you know, trying to say that we can't use any footage or audio of anything. So no.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. Good to know. Good to know.
Good to know.
Good to know. Good to know. Don't take the piss.
Good to know.
Losing the plots. I mean, you know, we're trapped. Lab rats.
Yeah. Thing is, you know, it's just bloody depressing, isn't it? You know, that unless you fit a mold or a genre, certainly in the music industry, then you ain't getting in. And it's a real shame because there's so many people out there that are creative and creating really, really cool stuff. And they're never going to get fucking heard by the masses because unfortunately the masses is controlled by, certainly as far as music is concerned, nowadays it's Spotify. And Spotify are kind of bought by the record labels. So, and certainly radio stations as well. You know, unless you fit a current genre, then you ain't going to get played, and that's that. And also, you know, as far as age is concerned, unless you're in your 20s, your early 20s, then you're deemed as over the hill and not viable. And
I gather that's all to do really because people are pliable when they're young and wet behind the ears. They haven't got no life experience.
Probably.
It's easier, isn't it, to conform?
Maybe. But then you look at acts that have been around for a long, long time. You know look at acts that are getting on a bit. They're still doing their own stuff, and they're still selling out, and they're selling out. Not selling out, but selling out venues. You know, so they're still doing things their way. You know, look at Prince. I mean, Prince came off the whole record label thing and started his own label and did everything how he wanted to do it his own way. And you can still make an audience by doing that, but it would just be really fucking helpful if a reputable label or a reputable radio station would get on board and maybe push something. It doesn't fucking cost them anything, does it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I used to listen to Absolute Radio an awful lot, you know, but they would. It became a bit mind-numbing because even though they said it was no repeat day or whatever it was, it still would be, you know, a best of by The Cure, the best of by Depeche Mode, the best of by Eurythmics. And it'd only be the same two tracks ever played. It was like, even the best of the album used to have about 15 tracks, but you never hear particular tracks still. And you're just thinking, why can't you push the boat out a little bit there? Why can't you just play something that someone hasn't heard for a long while?
It's like Zed says a lot. She's a big Hawkwind fan, and you know, radio says, right, next up we're going to play Hawkwind song. It's always fucking Silver Machine. It's never any of their other stuff. It's always that one song. And it's like, did they only ever write one song then? You know, so it's almost like, I mean, I know it's called pop music for a reason because it's popular, right? But the whole point of music is you want to be pushing new stuff out, isn't it? Really, you know, people need to be hearing new stuff and new ideas to push this thing along. And it's now just become a massive corporate machine. It's, you know, apparently a lot of pop music now is written by 4 people in the world, which is why everything sounds cookie cutter. Everything sounds the same. And the music industry is okay. It's bringing in money for the music companies, But, you know, and some, you know, loads of people are listening to this, but there's not really much by way of pushing any boundaries so far as I can hear.
Unless you look at it from my point of view, and actually it's still part and parcel of the same thing of everything else that's going on in our world at the moment.
Yeah.
And you know, it's about conditioning, and it's about people conforming. Because as you say, if you've got a large body of people, because you'll remember like the Sex Pistols, you know, they're punk, and they're a punk for a reason, and they were doing what they were doing to show people that you could rebel, you could, you know, and for a period of time they got mainstream, but the system does not want that these days. It just wants conformists. It wants people to be conditioned, and it wants people to keep listening to the same stuff, and it's, you know, it's playing with people's emotions.
They don't want to hear anything new anymore. I mean, you know, it's like, remember the old adverts, you know, the adverts in the 90s and stuff. I think there was that, again, I can't remember which it was. You know, you'd have like these adverts where you'd have a band in, right? And you know, or there'd be, I think it was one by Stiltskin, wasn't it? It was Levi.
Oh yes, yeah. With the tyres or something like that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you know, all these old adverts where you'd have a, you know, there was another. I think it was a Twix.
Yeah, Spaceman.
Yeah,
Spaceman.
Yeah. So they used to, in the 90s, they used to promote stuff that was new. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like, whoa, this is a new sound. You know, let's push it. That doesn't happen anymore. You're not allowed to have a new sound anymore. You know, unless the only way it would work is if literally just by using social media, if people really, you know, public really got on board it, and all of a sudden you are now selling out, you know, a venue of 500 to 1,000 people every time you do a gig, then you could possibly become a viable thing and be pushed out, and then maybe create something new. But it just doesn't fucking happen anymore. It doesn't happen anymore. And, you know, even as far as booking agents, there was a guy I chatted to a while back. It was a good couple of years ago now. I think you were at the gig as well. It was in Brighton. And this booker guy, and I said, well, can you get me on with this big booking agency? And he said, well, you know, the problem is they only play rock music. I'm like, what do you think I am then? What do you think IAMWARFACE is then? And he said, well, you've got electro bits in it. I'm like, are you kidding me, mate? Where does that thinking come from? IAMWARFACE are a rock band. We have electro elements in it, but we are a rock band. So, but the thing is, these people can't differentiate. You've got to be put into a specific bracket for it to work. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, but I think you said it yourself. That person was quite young, weren't they? Or they were younger for sure. And it was the way their own mind has been adapted and to process how music is, as you say as well, with the genre society. People have broken down the genres to make these kind of weird genres that don't really exist, really, do they? I mean, it's just another name, isn't it, for something?
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, I think sometimes you have to put stuff into a category if you're going to sell it, you know. So you have to say, you know, you have to say, right, this is a rap record, this is a country record, you know, that kind of stuff.
But that was the higher, as far as I was concerned, that was kind of like that's fine. But when you start identifying electronic music and
like sub-genres and shit like that,
then that's just getting it's well confusing. I mean, I didn't know what shoegaze was, and you know, trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it just gets bonkers. There's no, I don't really see there's a reason for it. It's only going to confuse people. So if you keep the elements still, you know, reasonable, like rock and pop and indie and such like, you know where you are. It's easy.
Well, that's the thing as well. Again, as you say, it's down to conditioning. I think if people were able to make their own minds up on stuff. So, for instance, forget genre, get rid of all that shit, right? Fuck genre off completely.
Yeah.
And just release music. So, for instance, you go to a record label, you show them your album. The guy really likes it. He says, right, can you put it out then? Can you, you know, you don't even have to pay for it to be recorded. It's already been fucking recorded. Just put it on your radio station, right? And then see what people think of it. And if people like it, then you know it's sellable. If people don't like it, then don't worry about it. It doesn't cost you anything. It costs you nothing, you know. I don't know why the music industry won't do that, because if they did, I think it'd be a lot more fucking healthy place. You'd have a lot more music coming out, you know.
Yeah, I mean, have you noticed also? Yeah, but even with the radio shows, Matt, have you noticed that? And I don't want to say this really, but most of the DJs do sound the same, don't they? You can't even identify them. I mean, it could be the same person.
I don't listen to radio, to be honest with you. I really don't.
Yeah, but I'm talking the mainstream stuff. It's just they're the same people. It's as you say. I mean, it's like the whole thing is it's just processing the same. It's just regurgitating the same. You know, it expects people to go to work and do the same. I mean, you know, what was that film Groundhog Day? Maybe that was telling everyone something. I don't know. But everyone is going through this same weird process. They're not educating themselves. They're not willing to learn anything else, take on anything else. You know, I know I'm being general here. I'm generalising a lot.
Of course.
I would love to think there are some people out there who still got that ability. And I know we've met some. But this bulk of people just is, and I don't know if it's the television. I don't know if it's what they read. I don't know if it's what they listen to. But it does give an impression that people have been brainwashed.
Yes, it does. It does, and also the people, you know, not just the public, but the people running the show have been brainwashed as well. You know, as far as you know, radio DJs or, you know, this kind of stuff, they're only conditioned to play the right stuff, or they've been told they can only play the right stuff. They can only play certain genre of music, otherwise they might lose their jobs. I don't know. You know, I did hear that, and I heard this fucking long time ago, that apparently. So a lot of radio stations are funded by record labels. So, for instance, as an example, Coldplay's got a new single coming out. The record label will play the record label will pay the radio station a lot of money to just play that song on high rotation.
Right.
So then, if that DJ was to get an unsigned band and play them, they could get sued because the record company have paid them to play nothing but their songs.
Yeah.
So I get it. I totally understand it, but I just wish someone would stand up and just go, I wish there was another John Peel.
Yeah.
That would just go, no, you know, I'm going to play what I want to play. And if I like it, I'm going to push it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I was going to say, there was definitely a load of DJs years and years ago when they were all identifiable. They all did something quite wonderful. I don't know whether it's because it was, you know, what was it, Radio Caroline? A lot of them come from that, I think. They were all sort of road DJs in the first place. But, you know, they'd be good at their job. And, you know, I mean, where are you going to find someone like Kenny Everett as well?
Yeah.
You know, but you know what I mean? Where are you going to find people like that?
You don't really get Kenny Everett's anymore, do you? He was... Kenny Everett was bloody. Do you know? Apparently, Kenny Everett was instrumental in getting Queen signed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we know there's other connections. Yeah.
Yeah. But Kenny Everett was an absolute genius.
Yeah, but another person that really didn't care, did he? In a way, if you think about it logically, I mean, he didn't seem to care. You look at other DJs, and they obviously did toe the line. You know, there was a handful of them for sure.
Yeah.
Mike Reid, I think. Mike Reid. I mean, he's the one who. He helped Frankie Goes to Hollywood, didn't he? Because he banned Relax, as an example.
Yeah.
I mean, if he hadn't been a prude and actually banned that song, he wouldn't have been as successful. So in theory, indirectly, he actually assisted and helped that song, even though he was sort of following the line. So you know, there are occasional moments where something will actually have a bit of a backlash and not work quite the same way.
Yeah. Well, it used to be the case back in the day, though, wasn't it? If a video got banned, everyone would be like, "Oh, I need to see that banned video." You know, it's like, do you know what I mean? It used to happen loads.
Like this particular video.
Yeah,
this video we're doing now.
If this gets banned, we're going viral, mate.
What do you want to talk about now?
get restarted. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I just think we're living in a very strange fucking world at the moment, and it's quite upsetting, to be honest. You know, I mean, there's loads of there's some great stuff. There's some great stuff. You know, you got to look at the positive, negatives, but I get really, really down and depressed just about how good we could all have it. You know, this world could be bloody amazing if we were allowed to have an amazing world, you know, but it just seems that the powers that be don't want us to have an amazing world. And people are quite happy to acquiesce to that and just accept the world for as it is and just go with what they've got, you know, and, you know, this is it. This is all there is. And I refuse to believe that this is all there is, you know, and that's where I always come from. I always come from that angle. I question everything unless it's in front of me, you know, and I can see it, and you know, or someone can absolutely unequivocally prove it to me. Then I will always sit on the fence with everything and just be like, I'll take that into account. I mean, okay, the one thing I can't get behind is flat Earth. I really can't get behind that shit. I mean, I've watched videos on it. I had someone that came to me a while back just saying, "Oh, you need to look at this stuff, man. This is really eye-opening," and you know, wow. And I was like, "Okay, I'll have a look." And I looked at it, and I'm like, "Nah, don't make any sense to me, mate. Sorry." Who knows, you know? But I just think it's good to have a really open mind about stuff.
I think the interesting thing is with the flat Earth and the planet sphere, everything there. I think we've chatted to it before. It's only the fact, though, that having the contradiction gives the ability to actually think about why we're spinning around on a floating ball in the middle of nowhere as well. I mean, it's kind of baffling as well. I don't think a lot of people actually spend much time actually thinking about where they live, which is quite interesting by a different philosophy, if that makes sense. It does seem to me that the system, by controlling things, by telling people where they live, what it's all about, actually puts and casts a lot of things to the background, so people don't actually spend physical time thinking about the reality that they're living, if that kind of makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. A lot of people think that life is just, you know, get up, feed your kids, go to work, come home, have your dinner, watch TV, go to bed, and that's all life is. You know, a lot of people don't want to think outside the box because it's too scary, and I totally get that as well. You know, I know a lot of people like that. You start talking deep conversations, you know, you get into spirituality and, you know, life after death and reincarnation, all this kind of stuff. Some people just don't want to know about it because they're quite happy just sitting there in their little bubble. And in some cases, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing, really. If you're able to survive in your own little bubble and just shut out everything and be happy in that bubble, then why shouldn't you? You know?
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely.
But, you know, a lot of people are not happy. And I think you've got to question stuff. It's healthy to question shit. You know, not everything is as it seems. It's absolutely not. I've had, you know, I mean, I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen a ghost. I've had a few experiences that have made me think, yeah, okay, things aren't as they seem. And that's what I believe, you know. But, you know, I don't think anyone should be attacked for their views, you know, unless your view is of a hateful nature. Then I don't think anyone should be attacked for having a view, you know, having a belief system. You know, if you want to be a Jew, if you want to be a Christian, you want to be a Muslim, you know, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that at all. What, you know, you do what you want to do. But if you start encroaching it on someone else, then I think there's a bit of a problem. You know, the minute you start telling people they're wrong, then you're a fucking arsehole, to be honest with you, you know?
Well, this is the point exactly, that actually who knows what is right and wrong? Because we don't. For as far as we've come along, or what we've been told historically, how do we actually know? I mean, you know, I don't know about yourself. I've always looked back into thinking about primitive times where we would have been on this planet with no buildings, no roads, no nothing. Just grass, soil, mountains, sky, water, you know, rivers and sea, whatever.
Yeah.
Our you know, our prime, you know, the time the importance was probably just survival. We probably didn't even know what we were doing. You know, how lucky we would have been to have found a vegetable growing somewhere, or you know, who made the decision to kill an animal to eat, as an example. You know, we don't kind of get these bits of information, but if we did and were primitive once upon a time, you know, there was all these facts and reasons why we come about and move forward. But then let's bring it up to speed and where we are today. How do we know that this is the right way of progressing? How do we know that we haven't made a wrong point somewhere, you know, way back in our lineage? And you know, going as far as we've gone, it's given us loads of answers, but it's given us a load of problems at the same time.
And a load more questions as well.
It is like manufacturing a drug. That's the weird thing. It's like you manufacture a drug and it cures this, but it has a side effect. So it means that everything we've ever decided to build or create, it has its own side effect. If you build more houses, then you're having problems on the infrastructure and the land itself and the insects and the birds and everything that live there. So how far do you go? And in theory, our lives are catching itself up, and we're probably in just a really bad time at the moment because maybe we've just exacerbated everything, and everything has become detrimental. Because without a shadow of a doubt, what we're going through at the moment is obviously very good for the climate. Us being hemmed in and pushed into our home has actually done a good thing for the climate.
Yeah.
And this is literally the only place we're going to live. And if we damage this, we are all up shit creek, aren't we?
Yeah, 100%. But then does that mean that the reason why it's good for the climate is because we're not involved now? You know, we're all at home. So does that mean that we're the bad thing? We should be gone? You know? And so,
I mean,
you know, if you look at the conspiracy theory that the elites want us to be, you know, want the planet depopulated by 80%, which means somewhere up of like 7 billion people would have to die to depopulate species by 80%, which means we're all going to probably go. You know, if the conspiracy theory is the thing, is that such a bad thing? You know, I mean, from a selfish point of view, yes, it's a bad thing because I want to still continue to write music and, you know, watch TV and stuff like that. You know, but I don't know. I think, again, someone else put on Facebook the other day that I think that they put something like, I think that we're to blame, you know, and we should all be, you know, we should be being killed off, you know, and all this kind of stuff because we've destroyed the planet. And my reply was, well, we haven't helped, but I haven't been going down to the Amazon and chopping trees down. I haven't been causing, you know, mass depopulations of, you know, certain species through agriculture and, you know, industry and shit like that. Corporations are doing it. You know, I'm not doing it. Okay, I'm a consumerist and I'm going out and buying stuff, and, you know, you buy an iPhone that's, you know, the components are made by, you know, basically slavery. You know, so I am complicit in that. I totally get it, but corporations are the one with the money. They're the ones fucking the planet up. You know, they're the ones that, you know, when you flush your toilet paper down the toilet, it goes out into the sea. You know, landfills, you know, we're supposed to be recycling. You recycle stuff, it all goes into the same fucking landfill anyway. You know, so the corporations and the governments that have all the money, they're not, you know, scientists as well, they should have figured out a way of making it work by now, and they can't.
I'm unsure though, Matt, because that's why I drew it along with the line of the like manufacturing a drug. Because you manufacture a drug, let's say it cures anyone or everyone going forward from this day on, from its production, it stops people having heart attacks, as an example. Doesn't matter what size you are, doesn't matter who you are, have one of these pills and you're never going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
But what does it have as the side effect? What is the consequence? Does it stop people breathing properly? Does it make people only, you know, everyone's going to die at 40 because they've got this drug? But in theory, that would be contradictory, and so on. But in theory, I do think about what you're saying, even from the consumer point of view. And I think the person has got the have got it right, because we as consumers, we are as complicit in every sense as the person, because what they're trying to do, they're trying to help find ways to find how to make food for billions of people now. Yeah. And hence why it's chemically produced and got longer shelf life and so on and so on. Yeah. However, you could maybe align things slightly differently. I mean, I know as I'm getting older, I feel like, do we need the choice? I'm getting to the point now where I'm thinking, do I actually need 50 types of cereal to choose from? Yeah. You know, why am I eating a cereal? If I'm eating cereal, why am I eating a cereal? I only need to sustain myself. And do I need do I need puff wheat, or do I need shredded wheat? I mean, the truth of the matter is, it's personally, from all our perspectives, none of us should be eating. I don't know. Think of a random, really bad cereal for us.
Probably cocoa.
Something really sugar. Yeah, something really sugar coated.
Probably Cocoa Pops or something.
Yeah, Cocoa Pop. I mean, we don't. They're no good for no one.
Oh, Cocoa Pop's really nice.
Yeah. But I'm getting boring now. Yeah. But I'm saying they're no good for no one, are they? So stuffing your face full of Cocoa Pops every morning isn't any good for you.
No.
So okay, we've got a choice, and someone may say, well, all right, Cocoa Pops is only on the Friday, you know, as a treat. But it's never really a treat, is it? Eating something rubbish for you isn't a treat. It's not a treat for your body, is it? It's because actually, you know, after you've digested 5 or 10 minutes eating that bowl, it's gone anyway. So that moment's gone.
Isn't it a weird thought though, right?
Gone.
That we seem, as humans, we seem to be predisposed to love stuff that isn't good for us. For instance, we love sugar. You know, so for instance, right, you got a child, right? A child who, you know, 2-year-old kid, right? Who doesn't really, you know, hasn't really built up his taste palette or anything like that.
That's right.
You give him a stick of broccoli or a Twix. What's he going to eat? Isn't it strange how the human race is predisposed to prefer stuff that is, you know, inherently wrong for you? As I say, you know, all that kind of stuff. Cigarettes, alcohol, drugs. And yet you give someone something that's really healthy. And it's funny, you know, you drink these health drinks, or, you know, you eat a diet that's really, really, really healthy. And it doesn't taste anywhere near as good as a fucking Big Mac, does it? You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, I do. I get you 100%.
I mean, obviously, depending on if you're a vegan or not. I mean, obviously, some people hate fucking McDonald's, but I just find it weird that your brain loves shit.
No, I mean, it's. I mean, but this is kind of why I was saying that look, some people with children these days have kind of experimented with their children. They have actually decided they're not going to feed their children the crap, if you like, or the sugary coated stuff or whatever, right from the beginning. So they will give them, I don't know, carrots, broccoli, apple, bananas, all them kind of things right from the start. Because, as you just said, they won't grow up feeling like they need it. They won't have a feeling for wanting it.
No.
The interesting alignment I feel with everything based on food, as an example, is looking out that window at all the insects, all the animals, because none of them things look any different shape-wise. Yeah. Human beings, we're starting to change our shapes now as time goes by. But these animals know how much to eat. They know what to eat. They don't change. Initially they don't have a choice, but why do they only go after one specific food that works for them? Why don't they start gluttoning on it when they think, hang on a minute, I've just found a bush full of these berries.
Some of them
no one else is here. I'm going to have them all. But they don't, do they?
No.
Do you get what I'm on about?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some animals do. It's like one of my cats loves chocolate. Shouldn't he?
Yeah, but man, that's a domestic animal.
Yeah,
in theory.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about the sort of wildlife, if that makes sense. I'm talking about your fox outside. I mean, even the fox has adapted now. You take it, you'll find a fox more in town than you will in the countryside now, because they've realised that they can scavenge and people are actually feeding them.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's our intervention again. That isn't nature. That's human intervention.
That's it. You know, you know, people going in and, you know, developing, you know, properties and shit like that, you know, on certain lands, and, you know, and drawing wildlife out of that place, and so that, you know, wildlife is going somewhere else to survive. You know, so yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, I mean, we are absolutely to blame for fucking the planet up, but I think, you know, they talk about climate change and all that. I think it could be quite a simple change, you know. I don't believe that we need to rely on fossil fuels. I mean, there's people that have built engines that run on water. I can't remember, was it was Tesla, wasn't it? Tesla.
I think it was. Yeah, I mean, he even wanted to give electricity for free to people. The thing is that we've constantly had people intervening with stuff to make money all the time. As I said, I mean, you name it, whether it's a war, whether it's something going on now. Well, I don't know, anything in history, it's always money.
Talking about war, I read an article this morning. Last year alone, it was something like £2 trillion was spent on war alone. £1 trillion is 1 million billion. So you're talking 2 million billion pounds was spent on war. Just on war, right?
Yeah.
Why the fuck? You know, they talk about famine and, you know, people in countries starving and homeless people. Why are you spending on fucking war then, you twats? Do you know what I mean? As you say, it's all corporate, and it's all, you know, war makes money. You know,
well, it has to be
army deals and shit like that. You know.
Well, I mean, look, as a matter of fact, I went to school learning history because I had to, like all the other subjects, and within the framework of being taught history, I was told that war was futile. So back in the 70s and the 80s, when I was growing up, I had a teacher standing in front of me telling me that war was futile. In the tail end, or the middle of, 82, 83, there was the Falklands War. So while I'm being taught history and being told it's futile whilst at school, we're having the Falklands War taking place. Beyond that, it was Ireland. Beyond that, as you know, it's been Iraq, Afghanistan, all the usual suspects. It's a constant. So how comes we're told the pen is mightier than the sword, that sitting down and having communication is always the better way, but we still spend and use missiles to go and, you know, kill people?
Yeah.
I mean, it's still murder as well, isn't it? I mean, whoever sanctions a war, they haven't got a clue who they're going to kill, how many innocent people they're going to kill. If you say to some bomber plane that's going to, I don't know, have 100 bombs in it, and it's going to fly at 2 miles high, and it's going to fly over a country at that distance or whatever, or a mile high, however high they fly, I don't know. But then they go and launch all their missiles. Are they guaranteed to hit all their targets, or is that, you know, as they say, well, there's a word for it, isn't there?
Collateral loss, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's completely and utterly wrong. I mean, to take anyone's life at any time is wrong.
Absolutely. To take any living thing's life is wrong, to be honest with you. Unless it's a mosquito, they need to fucking die on sight. But, you know, they're motherfuckers, they are. But yeah, absolutely. You know, I don't think you should take anyone's life. You know, it's fucking horrible.
And it's weird that you talked about the reincarnation and all things like that earlier, because I was thinking that, you know, and I didn't think like this years and years ago, because I you know, as you say, you get older, you have different mindsets and different things come into your head. But as time goes by, I actually start to think that, well, I've always believed in karma. That's for starters. But I do think that when you sanction something, and just because you're not the person who may drop the bomb or shoot someone, I do think that you ultimately are going to be the perpetrator of that action. Well, yeah, and I don't think the soldier doing something at the request or bequest of someone as well should be doing it. I know when they're looking through a sniper rifle or something, and there's a sniper looking at them, they're only each doing the same as what they've been told. You know, kill him or he'll kill you. But neither of you been there if it wasn't for this other person in the first place.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Which is normally, you know, again, it's normally funded by the same bloody thing anyway, isn't it? You know, it's normally it was like in World War II. Apparently, the Americans were funding both fucking sides. They were selling arms to both sides. Fair war. So, yeah, you know, I mean, absolutely right. You know, the buck doesn't stop at the soldier; it stops at the person higher up. But if the soldiers were, you know, people in the army were all tomorrow, everyone in the army, all around the world, every military complex in the world was to turn around and say, "We're not doing this anymore. We're laying down arms." Then there'd be no war.
I know. It's simple, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really fucking simple. Every single person just went, no, not doing that. No war. That's it. Done. See you later.
I mean, some people are going to look at that and think that's just an ideological argument or debate.
It is ideological, but it's fucking simple as well. You know, that is the fast act.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, you know, we not one person who's been born asked to be born. Not one single person living on this planet where we're living at the moment asked to be born. That wasn't our choice. Never has been anyone's choice. I mean, I don't know where we all came from right at the beginning, but what gives anyone, apart from like hereditary stuff, sometimes the ability or the need to control other people? You know, no one has that right at all. You know, I personally don't. You know,
the only reason why people control people is because they're scared. That's the only reason. You know, it's a fear thing, isn't it? If you're not in control of something, you're fucking terrified of it because it may be in control of you. You know, yeah. I don't know. You know, it's it's such a complex subject. You know, you can go fucking mad. You can go down the rabbit.
Oh, you could. But we're definitely not controlled by intelligence or knowledge, though. I think we're controlled by money. And you know, as I said, it doesn't matter what argument or debate I get myself involved in. It always comes back to money.
Yeah.
And so that means that, you know, and as I said, when you've got to the point now where you've seen people who've got so much money they don't know what to do with it, then, you know, my personal philosophy, there has to be a cap. It has to be capped. People cannot have substantial amounts of money as an individual because they don't know how to control it. And then when they have these exorbitant amounts of money, they get too much power, too much greed, and too much corruption. So again, there's an easy answer there, that we could all control the people in control, and that's what's needed too. Because I think again, you know, these jobs, these people employed.
That's slightly communism, though, isn't that a slight kind of, you know, isn't that communism basically? If you're saying that, you know, certain people you have to have a cap, so maybe each person can only have a maximum of say £2 million, and then that's it. You'll always have someone above them dictating that.
But when you've got systems that employ, I don't know, Cayman Island offshore accounts, Switzerland, a neutral country all the way through World War II, but dealing with the financial aspect of the war as an example. You know, isn't that curious? Isn't that curious that someone who doesn't want anything to do with the war made a lot of money out of the war? You know, I mean, we've lived in strange times for a long time. And I just think that, you know, it's not really communism because you've capped them £1 million or £2 million, but you know you've still got the people at the bottom that can't, I know, save £2,000. It still gives people aspiration, but the truth of the matter is, with my opinion here, and it is an opinion, it's just that people have proved they don't know how to control themselves when they've got too much, and that needs to be controlled by the people who haven't got what they've got. And at the moment, we are hemmed in and trapped by the people who wield this money and power, and they're not going to give it away. You know, it's always constantly passed on to the family lineage. They get dodgy accountants to do their dodgy accounts, so their taxes aren't investigated, or they just save an awful lot of money where they don't contribute to society anyway. No, I just don't know. I just think that it's gone too far. There has to be another way. And maybe it's a combination of, you know, communism and democracy. But I don't think what we have here presently is democracy. Do you think what we've got is democracy?
No, I definitely don't. 100% don't think it's a democracy at all. It's not. It's almost akin to fucking slavery, to be honest with you. I mean, yes, we're allowed to go out. We're allowed to go and do what we want to do, you know. But, well, saying that, not now, we're not. You know?
No, it's very akin to dictatorship, isn't it? I mean, some people have been mentioning it's fascism.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain aspects of it. I'd say that's a correct statement. Absolutely. You know, the whole fact of the matter is that, you know, this whole thing of you can't say this, you can't say that. That's fucking fascism, whatever way you look at it. You know, there's no difference really to, if you look at it on a very basic level, there's really no difference to when, you know, the Nazis were burning the books. They don't want you to read that, so you've got to burn those books. You know, you can't think outside the box because you're either labelled a fucking nutcase or you're a dissident. You know what I mean? So it's a similar thing. It's, you know, there are definite parallels between that. So yeah, I see what you're saying. The annoying thing is, it's the people keeping the people in check now. People are policing the people. You don't even need the fucking government to do that anymore. People are doing it.
Yeah.
You know, you say something slightly outside of the narrative or slightly outside of the box on social media, you get fucking crucified.
And that is definitely 1984, isn't it? I mean, that's 100% in it. When the neighbours were spying on and the kids were spying.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh Lord!
And that's happening now. There's people ringing the police up saying my neighbour's in their garden. They've been out in their garden for over an hour. And the fucking police turn up and say, oh, you shouldn't be in the garden for over an hour. Or, well, I've only been out here for an hour and 15 minutes. Well, that's 15 minutes more than what the government says. Do you know what I mean? It is fucking 1984. It really, really is. People are just so fucking stupid that they're falling for it.
Yeah.
And it's all down to fear, you know. It's all down to fear. It's COVID-19, you know. I mean, I looked up the other day. Last year in America alone, 88,000 people died from seasonal flu, and we've been in this pandemic now for what, 3 months, something like that. It's about 3 months, isn't it?
Well, they reckon it hit the shores of the UK, I think, in January. There was people definitely being diagnosed with it in January.
Okay, so it's been nearly 4 months, right?
Yeah.
And the numbers are nowhere near flu numbers. Nowhere near. So why is this? I mean, I get it. It's a nasty virus and it's probably highly contagious, but it's still nowhere fucking near the numbers we get from something else. And I get it. It's a novel coronavirus. So it's something new that we haven't seen before. So we've got to be careful. So I totally understand that. But it's a lot of it seems to be scaremongering.
Yeah.
And it's worrying, man. It's really worrying.
Well, I mean, even the BBC reported on their news that 9 out of 10 people dying with it have actually got underlying problems. Yeah. So they're already like close to death or whatever anyhow. So 9 out of 10 who are dying, that's quite a high stat, and that hasn't been declared on a conspiracy site. You know, that's been declared on the BBC.
Yeah.
Well, there's also have you heard the reports in America that said that if someone comes in with I don't know, something like pneumonia, is admitted to hospital with pneumonia, they get $4,000 or $5,000. But if someone comes in with conditions that are similar and it goes down as a COVID, they get something like $39,000. And if they die of COVID,
so who gets the dollars?
The hospital.
Right.
Yeah, there's a money. Funny talking about money again. Okay. But if they get on their death certificate they died of COVID, they get an extra $5,000 or something like that as well.
Yeah. Well,
so what we've got sounding there is that we've got potential fractured systems going on there. Where are you coercing people to perhaps think of putting something down as something else because you'll get extra money?
Well, I've been hearing a lot about this as well. The numbers are being conflated quite a lot due to the fact that, you know, people might go into hospital with you know, common cold or whatever, or in the instance of Cannon and Ball, was it the Bobby Ball?
Oh yeah, one of them died recently.
Yeah. So he died of heart failure.
Yeah.
And it was COVID-19 apparently that killed him.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if you know this, a lot of people are getting diagnosed over the telephone as well.
I was going to say, I was going to say that I've got a friend, and she was telling me the other day. She told me a couple of weeks ago. She said, "Oh, we've been diagnosed with COVID-19." I was like, "Oh fuck, you need to stay at home, you know, get yourself well, and all this kind of stuff." Now, she didn't go to hospital. I think they're still struggling a little bit now, you know, because it's a nasty thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When I spoke to her the other day, I said, so, you know, were you in hospital? Did you go to the doctor? She said, no. I called the doctor up and said, this is how I feel. And he said, yeah, you got COVID-19. And that now goes on a statistic. Now it's like the other day on Sunday, about 6 o'clock in the evening, I started feeling absolutely horrendous. Really, I felt like properly coming down with the flu. I had a really hot bath, went to bed, woke up at 3 in the morning, felt really, really bad. And to be honest with you, I was shitting myself. I was thinking, fuck, I've got the bloody COVID-19, right? So, and I'm a bit of a hypochondriac anyway. So that kind of shit does not sit well with me. You know, I don't like hospitals. You know, the thought of going into hospital, being put on a respirator and all that, I'm like, no. Anyway, the next day, I mean, I've been taking multivitamins and, you know, zinc and magnesium and vitamin B and all this kind of stuff, vitamin D, for about the last month and a half, right? Religiously, every day, and eating quite healthy. Or I've been drinking a bit of wine, but anyway, the next day, woke up feeling a lot better. Still felt a bit dodgy, but felt enough I could get out of bed. So at Monday, I spent most of the day in bed sleeping, right? And I pretty much slept throughout the whole day. Tuesday felt all right. Yesterday, woke up about 6 o'clock in the morning. My bed sheets were absolutely soaking wet. I'd literally sweated out in the night. Today, feel absolutely fine. So whatever I had, it could have been COVID. I could, you know, and the thing is with me, I've never had proper flu in my life, and I have been told by kinesiologists that I've got very, very good immune system, and a lot of it's down to I bite my nails. So I've been taking, you know, since birth. So, you know, I'm constantly taking in toxins and stuff like that, which it builds up a natural immunity to a lot of stuff. So I very, very rarely get ill, right? Now this could have been hay fever for all I know that I got. But if you know, and I had my mum saying, well, you need to call a doctor, and I thought, I'm not calling the bloody doctor. I don't want to be putting on that statistic that I've got COVID-19, because if I rang them up and said this is how I feel, they would have said, yeah, you got COVID-19.
Yeah,
I'm not. No.
Do you know there was one guy apparently he phoned. He got told the same thing, but he got worse and worse actually. And the family decided they're going to take him to hospital, because his conditions were really bad. And they thought, you know, well, maybe he needs the proper attention. I think he ended up going to something like an accident emergency. Anyway, they did a test on him, and he was riddled with cancer or something, some really progressive cancer. He was dying of cancer. He only had a couple of weeks to go. It was nothing to do with. So he'd been wrongly diagnosed over the phone. Put up with it for about a week or two, and then it's discovered that he's got a real terminal illness, which is not COVID-19, and it's cancer. So it's, you know, it's something not right, as you say. I mean, there's something not right with what's going down. It's not like there isn't something. There's obviously something out there. But when we focus all our attention, no more attentions on no other statistics. I mean, apparently suicides for Pete's sake, since the beginning of the year, they've taken about 220,000 people. Isn't that actually a concern?
Do you know?
Isn't that a bigger concern?
I was going to say one of my fans killed himself 2 weeks ago. He's a big Newman fan. I won't say his name here.
No.
Not my place to say his name, but he killed himself. I was told that he got COVID-19, and that's how he died. But no, he took himself, and apparently it says just basically couldn't handle it. You know, couldn't handle what's going on at the moment. There's a lot of that going on.
I mean, it's like also what you said though about, because they reckon that if you're watching the news incessantly and you're being fed this information and worried that you're going to get something, you could physically, mentally sort of manifest something where you end up getting a condition or feeling like you've got the illness.
Yeah, well, this is my point earlier on. You know, if you're constantly worried you're going to get ill, then likelihood is you're going to get ill, because worry and stress lowers your immune system. It's the whole thing of the mental state controlling the physical state.
Yeah.
It was the same for me when this pandemic first started. You know, I mean, obviously it's a scary thing, right? And I remember there was a couple of nights where I thought, oh shit, I'm coming down with something, because I was I mean, when this first started, when the lockdown first started, I was absolutely bloody terrified, right? I'm not going to deny it. I remember sitting across the table from Zed, and Zed was like, Matt, just breathe, just calm down. And I'm sitting there just going, I can't get my head around it. I can't, this is not right. You know, everything feels very, very, very wrong. And it's worrying the shit out of me. And you know, one evening I'd be like, oh no, I'm coming down with it. I can feel I'm coming down with it. You know, next morning I wake up, be fine. And I think you're absolutely right. I think it's a psychosomatic thing as well. You know, it's an easy thing to do, isn't it? You know, especially when you're worried. Another thing as well, you know, you're worried, so maybe you know, your body tenses up. And when you've got tension in your body, you know, your stomach starts turning over, and then you start getting stomach aches, and you get headaches, and you know, your stomach is basically your second brain, isn't it? Pretty much. If your digestion system is well, then your brain works. So there's a lot in that. 100%.
As I say, I mean, the interesting thing is that everything really goes down to primitive thought processes and actually being akin to our own normal instincts and intuition. I mean, only thing I've been saying to people, apart from stay safe, is stay vigilant. Yeah. And people can, they can take that however they want to take it. But I think that's an important message to give to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep your bloody eyes open, isn't it?
Because I'm like yourself. I don't digest all this nutty stuff and think that it's all true. But you know, I think
there's truth in some of it. You know, but
it comes back to what you said. If a politician feels like he's got to lie about something, why? If you can't be candid or open and just say yes or no, you know, it's a simple thing sometimes. Just say yes or no. There's, you know, and sometimes they are asked some very simple questions and they still can't answer yes or no. And you're just thinking, what has occurred with you? You know, what has happened to you where you feel like you're under some sort of investigation or interrogation on just being asked a very simple question. You know, it ain't going to damage you. In most cases, you get a lot of respect for actually being honest and open. You know, it just comes as very bizarre to act and behave in such a manner.
I suppose that's the one thing about Donald Trump, isn't it? You know, I mean, as much of a dickhead as he is, at least he speaks his mind, and I suppose you can at least give him a bit of respect for that. You know, at least he says what he wants to say. You know, but
Matt,
doesn't make him a good person.
I can't remember how much younger than you are to me, but in my day, Margaret Thatcher, she had her moments, you know. I mean, she really did have her moments. And there'd be times, perhaps in the beginning, that you did accept a number of things. I mean, she was typical, you know. You get into power and politics for too long, they'll get under your skin, if you like. But the one thing she did do, and it doesn't matter who, if you liked her or didn't like her, she always said her thing, and she never did U-turns. She just if she was going to do something, she was going to do it, and that still commands respect. And she would put people straight, and she wouldn't muck around, you know. So I'm not saying I'm a fan of hers,
no.
but she, you know, but she definitely, it's the way forward as a professional in the business that you're in. You need to make people feel like you're in control. That you know what you're talking about. And does anyone literally at the moment have that feeling?
No, not
in this country.
I mean, as much as I thought Jeremy Corbyn was a good, I don't think he's a bad person at all. I think he actually had, you know, I think his heart was in the right place, and I think he genuinely does care for the well-being of the human race. I think he genuinely does. But as you say, he was he was wishy-washy about. He did a lot of fucking U-turns. I mean, you know, so I'd heard he was always pro-Brexit, and then he did a U-turn because. I mean, maybe it was a tactical U-turn. Maybe he thought, well, maybe that's what I've got to do. I've got to be now, you know, anti-Brexit, so I can now get into power. And then if I can get into power, then I can do what I really want to do. I don't know, but I think that was his failing because he was very, very wishy-washy over a lot of stuff. You know, it's not to, as I say, it's not to say that I think the guy was an arsehole. I think he's actually quite a decent bloke, but. You're right. You know, you've got to be absolutely steadfast. You know, if you're gonna be a prime minister or president, you've got to be like, no, we're doing this, and this is what we're doing, and we're doing that. You know, and I suppose, I mean, I don't really get involved with politics that much. What I've seen of Trump, I mean, he does talk a lot of fucking horse shit, but at least he stands by his convictions and says, no, we're doing this, so we're going to do it. You know, don't know. Again, I'm not advocating at all anything he does, and I'm not saying I'm a fucking Trump follower. You know, I don't follow. I don't think any government's got it right, to be honest with you. You know, and I honestly don't think many of them ever will, because you're only ever going to get people in power either through money, or through growing up in the system, being groomed to be in power.
I definitely think they have to toe the line, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you will know this, but when I was young, I did join the Conservative Party, though I did join to kind of infiltrate. My feelings were that parties were sometimes, well, yeah, I don't know, I talked about infiltrating Facebook earlier, but the truth of the matter is, I just thought, why haven't they got a social element to them? Why haven't they got no empathy? Why is it always money? And I just felt that if I could somehow get in, elevate myself, but it wasn't education, because the education that I saw was that it was in the Major era. So John Major was in power at the time. Many of the Conservative Party at the time were still shocked that Margaret Thatcher had been removed. A lot of the women in these functions were dressed and had their hair done exactly like her, which was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And they had the knives out for John Major from the start, which was certainly unfair.
I remember John Major. I don't really remember Maggie Thatcher, but I remember John Major.
Well, he had a tough trouble because there was a lot of inner wranglings. I think he actually he may have even had a similar viewpoint to myself at some point. I'm not sure, but the thing is, he weren't going to handle that pressure, and the party obviously fell apart over time because he just he was the internal wranglings, the arguments they were having within the party. But ultimately, the thing that really got me was that I was never. You could see, even myself, I was never going to get anywhere because they had the people that towed the line. Yeah. So even if you won the constituency or you had to be a certain type of person. You would have been moved aside to let one of theirs in. It was as simple as that.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I'm speaking about the Conservative Party, I've been there. I've seen it. I've seen it from the inside. 2 years as a youngster. When you're young as well, you're still impressionable. I don't think a lot of people that go out and vote actually have ever joined a party, perhaps, to actually understand or even seen how these things operate. Yeah. But I have. So that's why if I do get political, it's because I've been there, seen it.
Yeah.
And I didn't like what I saw. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. I can imagine it's probably quite an ugly place, isn't it? It's it's the old boys club, isn't it? Unless you fit a certain mould, then you ain't getting it.
No.
Same in the music business, same with the entertainment industry. Unless you fit the mould, then you're fucked.
I'm wondering though, ultimately, if we can't submit the whole of this video.
I reckon we should. I think we should. I think it's an honest video. It's an honest chat, and fuck it, man. I mean, Don't worry about the swearing. You know, everyone knows I swear like a trooper anyway, so I wouldn't worry about that. I think let's just put this video out if people want to watch it.
Yeah.
Not said anything offensive, not been nasty about anything. You know, we're just talking about our own feelings and, you know, how we're digesting everything that's going on at the moment.
True. Yeah, very true. I mean, my own thoughts. You know, I've got no reason to. I don't have any spin or agenda. All I want is a simple life. I just want to be able to get up, do my thing. You know, be important to whoever. You know, and yet I still actually just want to be left alone as well. I just want to, you know, if I want to have free thought, if I want to just go for a walk in the countryside, I'm not bothering anyone. I don't think anyone who wants to do that is a harm to anyone. We should be allowed to do that.
Yeah, exactly the same here. You know, I want to be able to go and do my job, do my music, go out. I want to be able to go to gigs, see my friends, have a pint down the pub. You know, I don't go out starting fights with people. I don't have arguments with people. Do you know what I mean? You know, again, as you say, I just want to live a simple life and enjoy. I want to be able to enjoy my life. I want to be able to go out and have fun. You know, I'm a mushroom. I'm a fun guy. Sorry. I like to have a laugh. You know, I take, you know, I like to joke about stuff. You know, my sense of humour. I've got a very dark sense of humour. You know, but you know, I've got a serious side as well. But life should just, life. It's quite funny. I've got a friend of mine. Got a little boy, and I think he was something like 3 or 4 years old. And this is pretty fucking cool coming from a little kid. He said, "Mum, I had a dream last night that I met God." And she said, "Oh, right. And what did he say?" And he said, "God told me about how life should be." And she said, "What's that?" She said, "God said that we're here to have fun." And that's fucking amazing coming from like a 3 or 4 year old kid. How cool is that? And that's what life should be. We should just be having fun. We should be playing. You know, we should be getting up and going, right, what am I going to do today that's fun? You know, we shouldn't be getting up and going, oh, I've got to do that, you know, or, you know, whatever. I mean, obviously life is like that, but life should be, this planet should be a nice, fun place to be.
Well, that's why I mentioned what I was saying earlier. You know, we've come this far, haven't we? We haven't. I mean, we've decided to go. You know, the system that be, if you like, has decided that we're just going to get all serious about everything, and everything has got to be like this. I mean, it never had to be like this. This is what people don't evaluate either. They think because the life that we're living at the moment is the one we've got to live, it can't change. When I don't know about yourself, I think, well, it can. It can. It can almost happen overnight if people's mentality changed.
Yeah.
And everyone thought, you know what, it doesn't have to be Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. You know what I mean? It's like job sharing, for Pete's sake. Splitting people's wages. So both, you know, 2 people are job sharing, but they've both got the same annual income. You know, it's not like, well, if he shares my job, I'm going to lose money. It's like, no, you're not. Someone somewhere is going to boost it. So you've got more life to spend your money. Again, economically, how is the economics any good if you drive people's wages down so they are on bare minimal, all they can afford is rent and maybe food, and they've got a tussle between food and heating or something, say. Where have they got the capacity to buy anything to make the economic growth?
Yeah.
So what's the point? What's the point?
Yeah.
Is someone up the top thinking, well, I'm doing wonderful here, I'm making loads of money, but no one's buying my products. Or, you know, I'm going to all this trouble to go and invent something, but no one wants to buy it. Well, that's because you've gone to suppress the whole world and this sort of living wage where they haven't got any extra money. So they even if they want to buy it, they can't, because, and you want to sell it for this price, and okay, you may want people to get in debt for it, but they can't even consider getting in debt for it because they haven't got enough money or are already in debt to not be able to get even more debt. You see what I'm on about? So the whole thing is just making an economic nightmare anyway. Whereas if everyone was earning quite a nice sum of money, you know, turning it around for what I was saying earlier, but maybe still keeping the cap, but everyone's got plenty of money, great economy. and no one's fighting over everyone, and everyone can take time out and have a holiday when they feel like. You know, having surplus money would obviously, from some extent, give people more prospects and opportunities too.
The only thing you got with that though is people just want more, don't they? You know, it's the whole fucking greed thing. You know, it would be like. No, I've lost my train of thought. Sorry, as I say, my brain's not going very well today.
That's all right. That's all right. But I mean, it could be true that now everyone's driving around in big flashy cars, but no one can go anywhere because there's so many cars on the road that the motorway's blocked.
And why do you need a big fucking flashy car? Why do you need I don't get it. Why do you need a massive? You know, you see these mums that got one kid and they drive around in a fucking tank. So what do you need that for? And they said, well, we need it because I feel safe driving in the car. I'm like, you don't need it, mate. You know, they cost. You know, why does Bill Murray need to live in a fucking 12-bedroom mansion? Do you know what I mean? Don't get it. And just because you can have it doesn't mean you should.
Mind you, there was a woman who used to live next door to me when in the very first place when I got married. It was the first place we moved into. It was a little 1-bedroom flat, and we used to live next to a couple who had a house next door to us. And she used to drive her child to the school at the top of the hill. Now we're talking about 100 foot or 100 meters. Okay, I know there's a big difference. Let's say 100 meters. It wasn't somewhere you couldn't walk in 10 minutes or 5 minutes, if you like, but she'd have to drive the car up there. But the funny thing was, you weren't allowed to park at the school. And very rarely would someone ever get a space outside the school or even near the school. And I remember often walking. I can't remember why I used to walk that way, but I did. And she used to end up driving sort of 100 meters beyond the school, the other side. So she'd have to park up and then take the kid out and still walk 100 meters. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? Why didn't you just leave your car at home and walk in the first place?
Yeah.
You've just driven up the road to try and chance it in order to try and get yourself a space. You haven't got a space. You never will get a space to go and park 100 meters the other side and then walk back.
Yeah.
What's going on? So, you know, you can see that, there's mentality within certain human beings that don't have that capacity, you know, and I'm sure that's still happening these days. People will be driving, because if, again, like you're saying with the 4x4s and the big cars and things, it's not like they can park anywhere. You know, a little Mini may be able to fit into somewhere, like the original Mini as well. But these cars are huge these days, so they can't find a car parking space adequate for them. So, you know, it's mental, as you say.
Yeah. I don't know, mate. It's human being. I can't even speak properly now. Human beings are very strange creatures, aren't they?
We've reached the future.
Yeah. Did you ever see that film? What is going on with my brain today? Right, I'll have it in my head, and then I'll go to say it, and it goes out my brain. I don't know what that is. Alzheimer's, maybe. I don't know. Idiocracy. Did you ever see that film?
No, I don't think so.
About a guy who goes, I saw it ages ago, he gets transported into the future, and in the future, it's just fucking everyone's idiots. Everyone, you know. And it's kind of like the world we're living in now. You know, everything is just sugar coated, and just people are just fucking twats. You know. Yeah. And the parallels are quite staggering as to, you know, and I think this was made in the early 2000s. And it's getting that way. So, don't know.
Well, even that's interesting. I mean, it's like that Contagion film, isn't it? That film that was released in 2011. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's almost script written perfect for the world we're living in now. I mean, I do remember seeing the film at the time, and I didn't think it was that much. And of course, they're going to bung on Netflix recently, and I go and watch it, and it's like, hang on, that's exactly what's going on at the moment.
I need to watch that. Yeah, actually, I think I remember seeing that at the cinema when it came out. But I forgot.
Yeah,
I started watching it the other day on Netflix, but I need to finish watching it. But
no, seriously, you'll be like me. You'll think, like probably just like when you watched it when it first came out, it was like, oh well, you know, it's all right, it's okay. You watch it right now, it's like watching the news.
Yeah.
It's like watching exactly. And it goes to show that sometimes, because you've only reminded me about this by talking about the film that you're talking about, Project, but for sure, over time, they get us used to watching these films.
Yeah.
So we do fall into, when reality does become a thing, we're already aware. But I don't know what's going on that score. I don't know if George Orwell wrote 1984, so he could, and someone took that as a Bible and thought, you know what, I quite like that. I think we're going to control that kind of work.
There's a lot of people that do say that that movies and stuff condition us, don't they? I mean, there was something I read about a while back. No, I know. I heard about it. This is when I bought my first flat, right? And we went into B&Q to speak to the kitchen designer. And this guy, we started getting on the subject of, I can't remember how we got on the subject of like astral projection and, and coming out of your body and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, then the conversation started getting onto proper conspiracy theory stuff.
Yep.
And he basically said, all those movies that you watch, right? Like Independence Day and Mars Attacks and all that, right? I was like, yeah. And he said, they've been made purposely to condition us to believe that there are UFOs, right? And he said, I'll tell you why. And I was like, go on then, why is that? This was at the time, when they did that, they opened the Olympic Stadium in London. They did that big thing with all the nurses coming in on the trolley.
Oh yeah.
This was a couple of days, or maybe a week or so before that. And anyway, so this guy was basically saying, and again, right? I mean, I've not really read up on it. Fucking hell, hang on. So I read up a little bit on it, right? So basically, the theory goes is that they've been conditioning us to believe in UFOs, right? And the chemtrails, right? All the chemtrails that are up in the sky are spraying the atmosphere with like the likes of strontium and barium and various other compounds that you find in holographic technology.
Right.
So why they're doing that, they're spraying it in the atmosphere because they're using a thing called Project Bluebeam. That's apparently the name of the project. It's called Project Bluebeam. So what they do is, what will end up happening is they will stage a false flag alien invasion on the planet, so that people will now, because of all the movies that they've watched, will all be like, yeah, it's aliens. So they stage a fake alien invasion using this holographic technology in the sky. So we'll see a big UFO, and what will happen is a satellite up in space will fire a laser down and destroy a city. So it looks like the UFOs destroyed the city. So you're talking proper Independence Day stuff, right?
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. It's called Project Bluebeam, apparently. Right. I read a little bit about it, and I'm it's above my kind of pay grade. I read stuff. I'm like, yeah, maybe. Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't put anything past the governments personally, but it's not saying I believe in it. But I'm losing my train of thought again. So, fucking hell, I'm losing it. I'm losing my marbles, man.
It's watching, and well, it's trying to work out what's the truth and what isn't.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not surprising, is it?
But actually, that's what I was going to say. Right, so it's quite funny. That's right. He was saying that what they're going to do is they're going to, when this big Olympic Stadium, thing happens, that's when it's going to happen. They're getting everyone in the Olympic Stadium, and then a UFO is going to appear, and it's going to blast the stadium and kill all the people inside. And then all of a sudden, all the government's going to be like, right, we all need to come together as a one world government to fight the alien invaders and, lose our freedoms and all this kind of shit. So I remember I told my little brother about it, and he was like, oh, that's interesting, And as I say, it was just a very, very relaxed conversation. I just said, well, this is what this guy said, and he seemed to really believe it, Anyway, so we're watching this fucking, the Olympic thing on telly. And we were just watching it going, do you reckon it's actually going to happen? And my brother was like, I don't know. And anyway, there was one bit where something was going on, and the screen went all funny, and it was obviously just the feed coming in, it glitched. But the screen went all funny for about 4 seconds. And he looked at me, grabbed on my shoulder, he went, fucking hell, it's real. And then it obviously never happened, but it was really funny. He was absolutely shitting it. But, you know, again, I think it's good to look into it at least and draw your own conclusion from it. But, you know, a lot of conspiracy theory stuff, people say that this is what's going to happen and this is going to happen, hasn't fucking happened. So it immediately loses all its credibility, you know? Mm-hmm. But I do think there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff that I've read that seems to be happening, that has been talked about for a while. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Did I just completely go off topic?
Well, we probably have. We've gone completely haywire. we're making our own conspiracy film, which I didn't want to do. But then again, you know, it's up to individuals, isn't it, to what they digest and how they perceive things. Look, I mean, I think I've always been sceptical. And I know with age you get cynical. You can't help it. You just think, you know, well, I've heard this before. Yeah, I don't know. I just, you know, and if it's a constant barrage of lying for so long, you know, I'm still resilient to lying, if that makes sense. I don't like lying. Personally, I do not like lying. It affects me. It does have a detrimental effect on me. Yeah. And if someone's lying, it's like, as an example, one of my artist friends posted on Twitter yesterday. He said, could someone please tell me how I can remove the COVID-19 information thing going on at the top of Twitter every day? He said, every time I log in, it's sort of this COVID-19 thing. And I don't want to read the news. He's not paranoid. He's not, you know, he just doesn't want to see it. Doesn't want to read it. And I said, I don't know how to remove it, but my subconscious just ignores it straight away. You know, it just, because when I'm getting a barrage of stuff, I've just got a way of adapting my world to ignore the influences of the world these days. You know, if I'm choosing not to read the news or watch the news, there's a reason for it. I don't want to be swamped with negative thoughts, and I feel the news is a constant drain. It's always feeding me with negative stuff, and 99% of news doesn't concern me. It's like when the Iraq war was going on, how it was influencing me. It was influencing my moods and my mindset, but it was nothing I could do about doing anything on either side. When I don't know, when anything that's ever happened in the news has occurred, I've never been able to be involved to do anything to. So why am I sitting there digesting it? What apart from getting depressed? Well, yeah. So it's by design, isn't it?
That's what it does. And you know, you talk about, you know, is stuff designed to condition us? I mean, you've only got to listen to the theme music of news programs. It's not nice, relaxing music, is it? You know. Do you remember like the news at 10? You know, you know, it puts you on edge. Yeah. It's always there to put you on edge. It's, you know, you would never get a news program coming on with lovely, serene, beautiful music. It's like, one of my family members was saying the other day that it used to be that when you'd watch the news, you'd have all this, you know, death, chaos, destruction, war, bollocks, all this kind of crap going on. And then at the end of the news, they'd always finish off with a nice little story, you know? And they don't even do that anymore. It's just...
But Matt, that actually came about because one of the newsreaders actually asked if they could include that. So it obviously... Right. It wasn't always. It was only when this particular news reader had sort of suggested it that they could put in perhaps or factor in 5 minutes of quite nice news as an alternative. I don't know if the newsreader has subsequently died or what. The reason why that's been eradicated, but obviously coming back to the system, it just decided, you know what, none of that. Give them 30 minutes of negative. I personally, I mean, I don't know where I get this idea from. It's only an instinct or intuition again, but I personally feel something drains from the negative energy that most of us give out. And I also think it's easier to be negative because I think you have to work at being positive. So you can be positive, but you have to work at it. And it's so easy just to slip into. You said it yourself, you know, you can get depressed. That's being negative, and that's easy to fall into. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Look how easy it is to not do something. That's a negative, isn't it?
Yeah.
To actually physically get off your backside and go and do something, it takes energy, and it means you're being positive. So I do feel that there's something definitely that thrives off our negative energy. And so therefore that's why we get thrust with a lot of negative energy. Because as you say, we can put that wheel of negative energy or positive energy on ourselves and make ourselves feel better or worse. But you think of the collective. And if the whole world is like all doing a job that, you know, like the poor Chinese people all with their head down at their desk or wherever they are, you know, 24 hours a day, worried about whatever, millions of them, all working as slaves, you say, well, that's got to be a big negative field. That has to be a big negative, because now who's enjoying that? Living, you know, you can't even go home from work because you fear that if you leave that place of work, you may lose your job because someone else is just going to jump into your space. And what are you doing? Going home to eat a cockroach? I mean, what, you know, I mean, the world that some people are living in is absolutely appalling.
God, I saw a thing on Facebook today. It was some of the conditions these people live in, and they live in rooms about half the size of my little studio here. So you've literally got your kitchen, your toilet seat right next to your kitchen, then your bed. And these are their homes. You know, they've got no garden. You know, they're literally living in like container units. Do you know what I mean? And it's horrendous. I mean, it really, really is. Some of the living conditions is absolutely appalling. And how can you be positive about that? You know, how can you positively be? It's a bit oxymoron, isn't it? How can you positively be positive about that?
Well, that's what I'm saying, and there must be an energy field there that, believe it or not, them individuals are actually emanating that negative energy. And what is that negative energy? You know, powering. Must be powering something, because you know energy is energy. And you wouldn't be trying to create that if you weren't being able to use it. I mean, look, it's only a thought. It's only a viewpoint, an opinion, but I definitely feel, and I felt this for some time, that positive and negative energies have been, you know, even when it comes down to football, actually. And this is terrible. You know, this is what I'm saying about being a cynic, because over time, you're following a football team, for instance. But then you look at, you know, I won't declare the team I support because they'll get people going, potentially.
I think you should start a massive argument off.
But the thing is,
if you support Liverpool, you're scum.
No, it's Arsenal. It's Arsenal. I'm an Arsenal.
I'm joking. I don't support football at all. I can't be Arsenal.
But no, well, it could be. Yeah, but I don't sort of follow it in the same capacity these days, because again, being cynical. Because I over the last 4 or 5 years, I started to see how games could potentially be played and played out. And I think you have to hear me out on this particular idea too. But I got to the point where I'm thinking, you've got an awful lot of people who follow these football teams. You know, particularly the Premiership teams. There's a lot of people, even globally, whatever, they're following these teams. If you have a result, because in theory, you kind of know sometimes that Liverpool, Man City, or Man United, or Arsenal, etc. You look at the team they're playing, and you automatically think, you know, that's a win. That's 100% win. And then that game goes AWOL, and the negative impact that has on all them fans all of a sudden. You see, and that's why I'm aligning the football, because I also see that if a game is governed, and I don't like to think like that, but as I said, time has done its thing. You can actually command and control the way people are going to think again and behave, because you've made that, you know, you've thrown a game, for instance. So, you know, Arsenal should have won, I don't know, 2-0, say, against some sort of small team, but they've gone and lost. Now, how many millions of people support that team and now pissed off? How are they going to go to work the following day? How, you know, look at the attitude, the mentality, the whole thing.
I think the thing that people need to kind of realise is that it's just a game. You know.
No, exactly. But if you
it's just a game.
Realise
it's entertainment. You know, it's like me going and watching a movie and the movie being shit. You know, I might come out the theatre being like, that was a bit crap, but I'm not going to go out and start rioting and having a, imagine going to see a film and the film's shit and then everyone has a massive fucking punch up outside. It's the same thing. It's entertainment.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I suppose we've got ourselves in so many cycles, haven't we? Because if you think about it logically, I've got a lot of friends who don't watch and don't follow football either. So I do, on occasions, I feel like I fall into a really weird category because I can talk science fiction, I can talk politics, I can talk football, I can talk many things. And as I'm getting more sceptical and cynical now with football, as an example, then I can come away quite easily from it and actually think, you know what, it doesn't matter what the result is. It really honestly doesn't matter, because each year it starts again. And that's why I'm saying it becomes very sad, because you're actually thinking you're just going through the same ramifications yet again as you did last year and the year before. And actually, what is the point? What are we doing?
Yeah, because
it does start to make you wonder what we're doing.
No team ever really wins, do they? Because it just starts over again. I mean, I do get it. I mean, as I say, I don't really follow many sports. I love my art and I love my music. It's not to say it's not to say I don't have any respect for it or anything, or respect for people that follow it. But I remember when it was the World Cup, and I think we were playing against Croatia, and I mean, even Zed doesn't watch football. We don't watch any of that stuff, but. We were sitting on the bed. I mean, I was even contemplating turning it off because it was so nail-bitingly tense. Do you know what I mean? So I completely get the whole thing. It's your team. You really want them to win. But at the end of the day, if you don't win, it doesn't matter, does it? You just go back to your life again. But then some people, that's all they've got. That's their. It's like their drug, isn't it? You want to be with your tribe, and when your tribe wins, you want to be feeling elated and happy. And you go down the pub and you're all like, "Whoa, we won!" And that's fucking brilliant. I mean, I remember this was a long time ago. I think it was a Euro Cup when England beat Germany. I think it's the first time we've beaten them for a bloody long time. And I had a couple of mates round, and we decided to drive up to Notting Hill. And it was one of the best nights I'd had in my life. We're driving up to Notting Hill, driving past pubs. People outside the pubs, and I was honking, going, wah, 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 wah. And they're going, England. It was, the town, Notting Hill was buzzing. So I understand that. It's amazing, isn't it? Just a football game can make people feel amazing. I do get it.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't mean to drawing yet again more psychological background to it, but I'm just saying that if I'm talking about the energy thing I was talking about, I was talking about again how you can obviously see how people can easily get controlled. I mean, an awful lot of people don't realise how easy it is to be manipulated, because everyone thinks they're kind of special. We touched on that earlier as well, I think, where you actually think you as an individual are more important than someone else. I mean, what deduces you to that point of thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, it's even like coming down to sacrificing. It's true, isn't it? I mean, in theory, even statistically speaking, if they thought that the world population as it stands at the moment is affecting the planet and the world we're living on, we're all going to die as a result, in a year's time, say. If someone actually come out with the gall and said, you know what, if 80% of you could take a sleeping pill and just fizzle out, that'll mean that 20% is going to survive. You see what I mean? They're being upfront and honest. But then who start choosing and deciding amongst themselves who's important and who's not? Let's say, as an example, the most important people would probably be our children. So they can, go forward and produce and do whatever again in the future. But you're gonna, already you're gonna have people out there who are thinking they're more important than other people.
And it's normally the people that got the more money as well. It's like a high-flying businessman would almost certainly think himself far more important than someone who collects bins in the morning or road sweeper. And it's like, nah, the guy who's road sweeping, you need people like that, and their jobs are probably a lot more bloody, a lot more taxing, maybe not mentally taxing, but it's a lot more, I don't think there's probably not many people that want to do that job. People that work on the tills, in Tesco's. You you've got to take your hats off to those people. And in some ways, they're a lot more bloody important. It's like that, you know, the people on the bottom that are keeping everything going. It's the, you know, the workers in the factories, you know, the people that's keeping the ecosystem going. If the people up the top want to get rid of us, then what the fuck are they going to do? Because they're not going to want to do those lowly jobs, are they? You know.
Well, they do depend on us, and as you say, at the end of the day, if they eradicate all of us or whatever they do with us,
fuck me, ain't they? Shoot themselves.
Then they're going to have to do these crap jobs themselves. You know.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then what they'll do is they'll start fighting amongst each other. So you have all the millionaires having a fucking war. Then do you know what I mean? You know,
you'd have Bill Gates calling up Elon Musk and saying, "Look, you clean my bog."
Yeah. Or you know, Bill Gates and Elon Musk having a fucking punch up in the street. Do you know what I mean? You know, do you remember that Two Tribes video by Frankie Goes to Hollywood? You know what I mean? It'd be like that. Yeah. In fact, that would be amazing. Why don't they just get world leaders just to have a fucking punch up in the ring?
To be honest, Matt, I always said that when we were having that war with Iraq, I used to think if Tony Blair wants to have a war with Saddam Hussein, why don't they just strip off, pair of shorts each, boxing gloves, in a ring, 15 rounds or whatever it is, just like normal, and they just go the distance, and whoever wins, wins. And that's it. Sorted.
Mud wrestling.
Sorry?
Just a bit of mud wrestling.
Wrestling.
Yeah. Or rock, paper, scissors or something like that. Or fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare thumb war. You know?
Oh, now potato, scissors, rock.
Yeah. It'd be brilliant, you know. Yeah, I don't know, mate. It seems to me that a lot of people that, you know, that are very, very, very high up the ladder lack a lot of empathy, and that's the main issue. You know, they don't really give a shit. You know, you look at all these programs. I've been watching Ozark on Netflix, which is fantastic if you get a chance to watch it.
No, I have, yeah.
It's really good. Money launderer, launders for the Mexican cartel, and the guy right at the top is just he's a psychopath, absolute nuts, and no empathy at all, and it's all about money.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are like that. It's all about the money. I don't give a shit who they trample on to get where they need to go. You know, but as you say, karma's a bitch, isn't it? It will come back.
Well, you know, and that's why I was saying, I mean, look, if there was anything to actually, not that I want to preach, but if there was anything to actually gain by the thought process of this, if you go and do something nice, then, you know, I don't know, I think sometimes there's a nice karma that comes back sometimes. But I don't think anything you ever do should be disingenuine. I think everything you do should be genuine. You know, this isn't like a cheat. This isn't like I'm a good guy, but I'm going to do something bad round the back. You know what I mean? It's like you're good. You should be good all the time. You know, that's why I'd want to condone. But I feel like if who knows if where we are now is a platform, and there may be 70 years or 100 years, or you know, whatever our average lifespan is.
Yeah.
But what about if what you do here in this lifetime reflects on the next lifetime? That's what I'm saying. I didn't used to believe in afterlife. I didn't used to believe in. But how about if the next life is 5,000 years, as an example?
Yeah.
And what about if you're an absolute right, and I won't say it, but if you are, and you're living life to the full here and maxing out, that could be brilliant while you're here. For your 70, 80 years. But if your life is going to get flipped round the other way at some other point, and that's going to last for 5,000 years, then I don't know about you, Matt. I'd rather live a shitey life here for the short period, if you like,
and be a good person,
and realise your next life is a reflection of what you did and how you dealt with this one. And if you think about that, how many people will start acting and behaving the way they do? I mean, wouldn't you actually consider that's a good message to put out to each and every one person to think, you know what, we're only here, we don't know what we're doing here. That's why I'm saying earlier about the other thought processes on the world we're at. Someone may have come up with this controlling technique saying, yeah, you're living on planet Earth, here it is in the solar system, there's the sun, there's the moon, but don't worry about that because that's all going ahead, that's doing its thing. You just be content and worry about what you're doing in your little life now. You know, you get going to work and paying your bills and so on.
Yeah.
But if that's all distracting you from actually realising the type of person you are and what you're doing in the whole scheme of the cogs and all sorts of things, and if that, you know, I say also this is where it works really negatively, if you like, for the people who buckle as well, the people who aren't going anywhere in life but want something, but then they turn to crime as well, where suddenly they're doing a robbery or, I don't know, attacking someone in their home, or because they want, you know, money again. It's always it's all the way around. I'm not going to just sort of point my finger at someone who's rich and inheriting a wealth, but someone who kind of wants to clamber to that and also turn to crime to get to it. I think if everyone's perspective is this is one life, to enjoy it to the best of your abilities, to be nice to people all the way through it, and now a reflection of where you're going next. Now, even if it was true or not, would it be worth the gamble, though? I mean, Jesus, 100 years seems like a long time, doesn't it? But you only 5,000 years.
Well, to me, it's not a gamble at all. You know, you be a decent fucking person. You know, that's the be on end of it. You know, it's not like we're not like animals going around acting on instinct. We have ability to think, and I don't care who you are. You know when you're doing something wrong. You absolutely know when you're being a wanker. So you have the ability to stop being a wanker and be a nice person. So I think you should just adopt that philosophy anyway. You know, regardless of whether reincarnation is a thing or not, I personally think it is. You know, regardless of whether you think that is the case or not, you should just be a decent fucking person and look after your fucking fellow human. You know, there's nothing better than being surrounded by a bunch of people.
You said it earlier, though, Matt. You said it earlier where like, see, remember even the hatreds and things. Where are they built from? I mean, people are literally being told, no, hatreds. Where are they getting them from? You know, how come suddenly someone hates someone from a different country or an ethnicity? Where's that coming from? I mean, well, you know yourself, when you meet someone, you don't just hate that person, do you? You give them.
It's coming from social conditioning, and it's coming from fear, isn't it? It's constantly fear. You know, you fear that culture of that person. You know, do you know what I mean? Because culture has conditioned us to be this way. So you know, people saying, "Oh, you know, them immigrants coming over here taking our jobs. Oh, I fucking hate them. Oh, I wish they'd moved back home again." Well, okay. Well, then you walk down the bottom of the road to the convenience store. It's normally it's either like an Eastern European or an Indian person in there serving you, and they're working their arse off every single day doing that job, so you can go there and get your bottle of milk in the morning, or do you know what I mean? You're packing or whatever, you know. I think it's just fear, and it's just willful ignorance as well. It's people just basically, you know, anyone that looks at someone else because of their bloody creed or colour and thinks different of them is just a fucking idiot. You know, colour shouldn't come into it in any way, shape or form at any time. You know, I know what has happened in the past is horrendous, but we're not living in the past. And I think the longer we live in the past, the more we're just going to keep perpetuating the past. You know, I think we need to just move on. This whole thing of, you know, left and right and black and white and, you know, race and gender and everything at the moment that's going on, you know, it's just ridiculous. And it's the media pitting everyone against each other. It's that divide and conquer mechanic, isn't it? I don't know, mate. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how people can sort this out. I don't know how we can do it, because there would have to be a simultaneous collective thought process that just goes, right, stop right now and just change your thought patterns and do that.
I mean, in some ways we have. I mean, this is what, I mean, it's really funny because earlier in the year, around about December, January, well, the tail end of December, January, my daughter was saying to me, "Dad, what are you going to do about the global warming, you know, the climate change, all this?" I said, "Nothing." I said, "Absolutely nothing." And she said, what do you mean? I said, "Well, it ain't about me. We've all got to do it." I said, "No one else is prepared to do anything." And I said, it's pointless me talking rubbish or gobbledygook and making up some sort of nonsense saying, "Oh, well, I'll put a some extra plastic in the plastic bin, or
yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? Or I'll drive within a mile of my work and then walk the last mile, or something like this.
Yeah.
You know, what is the point when no one else is bothering to do anything? As an example, I said, what we really need is just for everyone to stop. Well, you can probably imagine what I felt like when this COVID thing came around, and suddenly, like, they're locking people down and telling people to stop, and it's like, oh. So I mean, don't get me wrong. I do want to think there's. Look, I'm always going to hope and want positives, and there is part of me that actually thinks that part is very positive of where we're at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
And coming back to what you were saying, the point that everyone is stopping and thinking perhaps at the moment is also imperative, because, you know, how many people have you heard say, I want to go back to normal? Well, that wasn't normal, really, was it?
No.
And I think a lot of people have been saying that as well. It's time for a reset, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's time for a reset, but I don't want to be in a reset that's dictated by nefarious means. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
you know,
100%.
You know, if we're going to have a reset, we need a reset in our way of thinking about life and what is important. You know, it shouldn't be a reset based on fear. You know, it shouldn't be that we're all now told to lock down in our homes for the next 5 years, you know, and we can't, no more gigs, no more public gatherings or anything like that, because people go fucking nuts. They'll go mad, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think something positive could come out of it, and I'm hoping it does. But I'm also very wary, and I'm, you know, it worries the shit out of me. Because I don't want to be living in a fucking totalitarian 1984 style world. You know.
Do you know what that it's weird, that, man, because I've just realised that you and I, as I said, we've got similar thoughts, and we fear exactly what you're talking about now. But then again, we don't really fear the virus, if that makes sense. I don't know yourself, but I don't really fear the virus.
I don't fear the virus.
But it seems to me that the people who fear the virus that aren't really concerned about the say it for me, but the
totalitarian aspect of what could.
Yeah, it's like they fear the virus more than they do that, and yet we don't fear the virus, but we fear the consequences of what could become.
Yeah,
which is a real odd 50-50 divide, isn't it? Because it seems that the same mentality of the individuals who think one way or the other way. It's only just now talking about that, it's actually just popped into my head that this is the way the process of the mind is working with the fors and against, if you like.
Yeah, I mean,
and yeah, I'd imagine, like me, you feel you're not trying to scare people by the thought process of this weird negative world we could be walking into, but you're trying to advise people that it could happen, it's a possibility, and I'm sure you won't like it.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would bloody like it. I think it would be hell. It would be hellish. You know, I mean, imagine if we all were all made to, you know, move out the countryside, and we all had to live in high-rise blocks of tiny little fucking flats. You know, do you know what I mean? Like concentration camp shit.
Yeah.
I'd rather be dead. I would rather. If it ever comes to that, I mean, I'll fight tooth and nail. But, you know, if it gets to the point where I can't, then I'm out of it, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm not living like that. No way.
Well, I mean, it is coming back to alignment of films, because you're thinking, look how many times the Terminator films have kind of been resurrected, and they're talking about, you know, they're showing, because them films in particular are always showing you where the future is going.
Yeah.
And the people trying to stop it from happening, and you're thinking, who's making it? You know, the resistance or the people who want it?
Yeah.
Or again, has someone got to the point where they're thinking, no, I want this. I love it. I love this gadgetry. I want all these robots. So, you know, this is what I want.
Well, it's Elon Musk, isn't it? Elon Musk is the same. I mean, I read an article the other day where he's now managed to figure out a way of interfacing a computer with a monkey's brain. Right. And you think about the dangers of that AI, right? You start interfacing human beings with computers on a you know, either a molecular level or interfacing with your brain. That ain't going to be good, man. That's not going to be good. I mean, no. It would be lovely to be able to have. I suppose the other side of the coin is imagine if you had a computer, right, and you had a little thing you could put on your head, and you could just sit there and think about a piece of music in your head, and then it would write itself into Logic Pro, and then you just press play, and there's the exact bit of music you had in your head. That would be amazing. But you've always got to look at the dangerous side of any application like that. If you start, and Elon Musk is well into that kind of stuff. You know,
I know
he's into, you know, transhumanism, and it's like, I don't know about that, mate. I you know, again,
I think the truth is that in their minds they have this thought process that says, well, they're not really. Some people, as you said earlier, they don't live for much and don't want for much. But I'd imagine these people consider them lowlier people, and that's how they think. That isn't that person's any lowlier than them, to be honest. But they feel that they could serve a purpose by being a robot, opposed to being a person, because if they're chipped to the capacity where they're not going to take smoke breaks, they're not going to take piss time breaks, nothing. They're just going to work solidly for whatever duration until they drop dead. Then it serves its purpose to the ones above. But you come to the point where you're thinking, at what stage are you going to start chipping your own family or your own friends, as an example? And then how far removed from society and humanity are you going to be as an individual? Because it could be like them kind of sinister robot film or type films you've seen in the past, where someone's actually got no one human around them at all anymore.
No.
Because they've gone and done this to everyone. And there's no real empathy, compassion.
I know.
You see what I mean?
It's getting like that now, though, isn't it? You know, you go on a train, everyone's on their phone. You know, no one's sitting there talking. I normally try. I mean, you know, I obviously go on a train. If I'm on my own, I'll be on my phone. You know, but there was I think it was last year. I went up to London, and I made a point. I thought, I'm not going to go on my phone. I'm just going to sit and watch people, because I like watching people as well. And I was just sitting there watching people, and no conversation on the train. You know, it was an incredibly lonely place, being on a carriage full of people. And do you know what I mean? You know, it's. I think people sometimes I'll say, for example, if I do a gig up in London and I've got a train up and I come back, I'd always try and make a point of maybe making eye contact with someone, or at least, you know, broaching some kind of conversation, or just having a bit of fun, you know, having a bit of a laugh, you know, making people laugh on the train. And people are always like, whoa, what's that? He's talking to me. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's all fucking skewed around the wrong way, you know. And I think the smartphone thing, I mean, obviously I've got an iPhone. I spend most of my time on it because I'm social mediaing and looking on the news and playing silly games and shit like that. But we're kind of ensnared in this fucking technological trap of just, you know, not talking to each other anymore.
Yeah. So it's end game. It's end game, isn't it?
Well, that's it. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, but yeah, I suppose in the process of these younger geek type people getting involved in technology, I mean, don't get me wrong, I can understand how it all works. You keep pushing and you keep pushing. If this works, we must be able to do that. If we can do that, we can do this. And it keeps escalating, and you just keep pushing the boundaries. And why are we doing this? Well, it's all for the age of technology. It's all about evolution. It's about this, that, and the other. But I just keep seeing it keeps taking you steps and steps away from living life.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Absolutely. You know, we should be going out and, you know, socializing with people and having fun. And, you know, a lot of people do, you know, a lot of kids nowadays don't do that. A lot of kids, you know, they sit at home and they're social. My younger brother was like that. He was obsessed with World of Warcraft. I remember saying to him, why didn't you go out and hang out with your mates and go down the pub? And he's like, no, you know, these are my mates. You know, this is my social life online, playing a game. And it's like, It's not, I mean, I like playing games, you know, with the rest of them, you know, but I can only do so much. You know, I can spend, I mean, obviously since lockdown, I played Doom, the new Doom game, and I was just every day just, you know, hammering it. And I completed the game, you know, so it's done. But you know, if I spend more than say an hour and a half playing my computer game, I feel really bad afterwards. I feel like I've done nothing. You know, I should have at least been living life in a real, you know, real environment as opposed to in a virtual environment, because it's not real. You know, it's fun, but I used to play computer games. You know, when I was a kid, you know, my mum would always be like, "Get off your bloody computer games." You know, I was obsessed with them, but can't do that anymore. You know, it's just it's not real. It's not real.
It's run its course. I remember working with a kid. Say kid, he was about 19, 20. I remember the first time, like when you start a new company, and you know, this was back in about 2008, and I said to him, I said, "What are you doing for the weekend?" He said, "I'm going to just be playing games." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Like, I'm just going to be on the PlayStation," or wherever it was. I said, "What, for the whole weekend?" He said, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Almost 24 hours a day, for the whole duration of the whole weekend, he was going to be playing on a game.
Yeah.
And I thought, my God, I really didn't know people did that.
Oh, no, they do. Yeah, they do. They do. You know, it's quite interesting, actually. We're probably going to have to cut this short soon, because
yeah, it's going on forever, isn't it?
We're doing about nearly 3 hours now. If someone's going to watch this, they're going to be dead. They're going to be dead of old age before they finish watching this video. It's quite interesting because you know when like the PlayStation virtual reality thing came out, and I remember being super excited about it, because I was like, I really, you know, the thought of playing computer games in a virtual world where it's all around you and it's all in 3D and, you know, feels tangible and all that. Well excited about it. You know, super. I remember going to pick up the unit. He got delivered to Waitrose in Brighton. I was like a kid. I was like, oh my God, it's like Christmas, you know, and got the box and took it back home and took it out of the box and was putting it all together and all that. And I was so excited. And started playing some games on it, you know, and yeah, it's great, you know, and I've still got it, and I still do play some games on it and stuff. But it's really weird. It struck me very quickly. I can't really play it for much longer than an hour at a time. Not because it makes me feel sick or woozy or anything like that. It's just, it feels so utterly unreal and fake.
Yeah.
That I can't explain the feeling I get from it.
I've got my own.
Yeah. It almost feels. It almost makes me feel emotionally dirty, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean exactly. Yeah, and I think that's probably why it didn't catch on somehow, because he hasn't caught on, has it? I mean, it really hasn't. It
has. I mean, VR. There's a lot of people that you know, VR is gradually catching on, and it right. You know, loads of different. You know, like you've got HTC Vive and you know, various other virtual reality headsets. But
all right.
I know what you mean, though. It's probably not going to catch on quite as much as what, say, a normal PlayStation would or something like that, because, you know, you're still in your real environment playing a game on the screen like watching a movie, you know, but there's something very odd about it.
I know what you mean. It's exactly what you're saying, though, because you haven't really got a word for it, have you? No. It's just an odd feeling, I know.
I was playing a game last night, though, with my brother. It's called No Man's Sky, and it's ridiculously convoluted, this game. I mean, it's all in, you know, virtual reality, and you're a spaceman on a planet, and you've got to go around and you've got to mine minerals from certain things and scan the environment, and if you need some oxygen, you've got to go over there, and you've got to mine the oxygen from a tree and create certain things, and you've got to create like armor plating and stuff, and then you've got to fix your spaceship. And then, you know, it's like 2 hours of playing before you even get to fix your spaceship. And this game, it's procedurally generated.
Right.
So there's literally something like 1 billion planets, more than 1 billion planets that you can go to in this game. And you don't just click on a planet and then you appear on that planet. You actually have to get in your spacecraft, fly up out of the atmosphere. You know, there's no cutscenes or anything. It's all in real time. You go through the atmosphere, the planet gradually gets smaller and smaller, and then you have to, you know, engage your warp drive and go to that planet. And it's amazing. It's utterly ridiculous, the amount of stuff you can do. You can then build a base in it. you then have to power the base up, and then you have to put a battery pack there, and then you have to put a wire down to connect it to this thing. And I mean, it's like, even it's bloody genius. It's absolute genius. But yeah, I was playing it with my brother yesterday, and it's absolutely hilarious. You know, me and him just messing around and, you know, fucking about and all that shit. But, you know, again, I mean, he's literally on it 24/7 at the moment. So he's managed to sort himself out a really big base and, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And he keeps going, Matt, come on, let's play Space Brubs. It's not called Space Brubs, but he's my brother.
No.
And I'm like, yeah, you know, can do. It's fun, but yeah. But it's a crazy world we're living in, man.
It is. I never got round to getting that Star Trek game, did I?
Do you know what? You should get it. It's bloody hilarious, especially.
I should get it and join you.
It's very funny. It's very fun. I don't play it for serious. You know,
No, you said that.
I play it for shits and giggles, just to troll people. So, you know, act like an idiot, but it's bloody funny, and you can stream it live as well. So.
Yeah. No, I will endeavour to get. I will endeavour to get.
Yeah.
Well,
we're gonna have to cut. I've got to go. I've got to go and make me dinner.
I'm hungry. I need the toilet. It's all happening. All fun stuff.
You should have worn your colostomy bag.
Who said I'm not? You can only see my shoulders. Jesus, we know I've talked a lot though, don't we?
Yeah, I know. I love it. I love it. You know, and I love chewing the fat. It's good. It's good. It's good for the soul, man. You know.
I know.
I don't know if you know. Whoever puts this out, whether you put it out or I put it out, you know, maybe you can put it out. I don't know. But I mean, you know, people might die of boredom watching it, or people might enjoy it. So I don't know. See what happens.
Well, I mean, yeah, by all means, send me it, and I might edit it. You know, if I think that, you know, we're going to OTT on some things, or it's going to, you know, we're going to get collateral damage or something from saying certain things. You know, we don't want to damage anything really.
No.
I
don't think we said anything out of order. We just, you know, we've not. Yeah, we're just talking about our own thoughts about stuff. You know. So.
Yeah, but you know, you know, there's people out there that just think totally differently, and then they just get offended. And as you've done and I've done, we're not out there to talk about offending people.
No.
But why people take things personally like they do sometimes, it's beyond me. You know, I may well be an idiot. I may be stupid.
Same here.
You know, I may have my head in you know, maybe the other way around completely and entirely. But I don't go around insulting these individuals or trying to bully these people from not saying something or you know, shedding some light or opinion with something. So I do think it's really. I think their behaviour is the odd behaviour.
Yeah,
they just want to attack you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as I say, you know, I put up certain things about. You know, I might put up something, you know, say about that energy field of the planet, and you know, some people commented with, you know, they select the laugh emoji as if I'm some kind of fucking idiot. I mean, I'm not exactly, you know, well educated. You know, I didn't really do the whole school college thing, you know, but I'm not a bloody idiot. And to have someone comment on something like, you know, to make you put you down and make you feel like you're a fucking thick idiot is not a very nice thing to do to anyone.
That chart is an example that where did it come? That's what I'm saying. Where did it come from? Someone created that chart from information.
Yeah. I was told it was had something to do with NASA, but you know,
but it doesn't matter. But you see what I mean. It doesn't matter where it comes from. Someone took out or did something that night that gave you information. That's all you. And as you say, in your case, all you're doing is commenting on that.
Yeah.
And it was quite nice. It was one. It wasn't like other posts. It was like it was just pointing out there, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah.
It was just like I know personally I saw it, and it was a nice post. It wasn't an offensive post of any description.
No.
So to get ridicule from that, apart from, like we were saying earlier, you've got people hell-bent on making sure alternative news or whatnot is just not put out there, full stop.
Yeah.
Because as you know, if you end up taking that post down, or deciding I'm not going to do another post again, then they're winning, really, aren't they?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I did. I went through the other day and took down a shit ton load of posts that I put up. You know, and I just thought I can't be done with it anymore. I can't be done.
I did exactly the same as you, Matt. I didn't delete them because sometimes there'll be a time in the future, perhaps, where I'll actually think, you know what, I want to go and revisit that period of time where I did that, because maybe in 3 or 4 years' time, it'll be proving the fact that some of the posts I was putting up were pertinent.
Yeah.
So I haven't physically deleted them, but I have hidden them from my timeline.
You can hide it. I probably
so simultaneously, it is odd that we have reacted to the way the system would have wanted at the end of the day.
Yeah, I know.
Because something there was saying it's a bit of a danger to start doing certain things, and some people, for whatever reason, are taking offence or so on to some of these things. But it's really odd that they're not taking in the light they were meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Missed the point entirely.
Well, I don't like to think I'm cocky with some of the things I'm pointing out or saying, but I do want to get. Like you, I don't want someone just saying it's bullshit. I want someone to come to the point and explain the opposite.
Yeah.
It was like I mean, I put one post out that said why does you know, I know exactly it was a sort of baiting post, but it was asking, why do you trust a politician when they're telling you not to believe a conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
Because most of the time, most people these days don't trust politicians, but they do when they tell them not to take on board an alternative theory. Why do they use the word conspiracy? You know, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, and it's apparent from what we're both saying here, we've both been browbeaten because we won't put anything out in the public that people seem to get offended by.
Yeah.
But it may be pertinent in the future to the way life is as a result of us having empathy. And, you know, in your case, in my case, empathy for strangers, to actually think about, you know, be careful of the future that we may be stepping into.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to harm your future. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to say, do you want to start taking on board some other forms of information that may give you survival instincts or whatever for the future?
It may be right or it may be wrong, but I think you should still take it on board and do your own research about stuff. You know, and if it turns up that you read something, you know, something's posted up and you research it and you come to a conclusion that it's a load of waffle, then fair play. You're totally within your rights to be like that. I
mean, you probably agree. I'd rather be known as a crackpot than telling the truth, actually, as well, because I don't want that truth to be real, just like you don't.
Yeah.
You know, it's even like Freudian slips there, the truth. But you know what I mean? It's kind of like, if that stuff is true and the public has said, like, do you mind toning it down or pointing it down as an example because, you know, you're scaring me with them thought processes. It's like, I'm sorry. You know, first off, I'm sorry for doing that. But, you know, I'm also very concerned you've been misled.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing people misled or lied to. And I certainly don't want to start thinking that you have been chipped and have no brain anymore as a result of being hook, line, and sinker, sort of taking on board some sort of weird vaccine.
Yeah.
That may or may not be a vaccine. And, you know, that concerns me an awful lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, me too. You know, so I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I don't want, you know, they're talking about making a fucking vaccine for COVID-19 within a year. I don't believe that that's ever been the case. It's taken years and years and years and years to formulate vaccines.
Matt, there was information coming out from Oxford the other day saying they may have a vaccine by September this year.
Well, it's never happened before, though, has it?
And you know what? Again, that wasn't from a conspiracy theory site. That was from the BBC again.
Yeah.
So how comes things like that are being put through the mainstream, and they're not conspiracies either? So what is going on?
Yeah.
And as you say, these things haven't been done like that before. Though I did spend some time working for GlaxoSmithKline about 20 years back myself, and there was a guy there who said that he'd worked there for a lot longer, and he basically said that, well, again, he was of a military background, but he also said sometimes these places make the viruses or whatever as much as they make, and sometimes they discover these things before, or they discover the vaccine before they discover the illness.
Yeah.
And as time goes by, when you've got these Frankensteinian type people out there that want to dabble, got interest to dabble, can make money from dabbling, etc., that he won't put me past. And that was 20 years back as well. Yeah. You know, so it was the progression of stuff 20 years later.
Yeah.
So, you know, we do live in troubled times. And as I said, and here we are sitting in our little lab rats now, like little lab rats in our little homes waiting for knocks on the door. And then we're not supposed to scare anyone. But it's like, you know, we're all in this bleeding situation, aren't we?
Yeah.
And who will come, you know, and will they do that? You know, will it be someone knocking at the door in a white suit? I mean, who knows?
Yeah. It might, I mean, this whole thing might be a complete accident, and, you know, this will blow over. And obviously I know loads of people are dying, which is really, really fucking sad and horrible. But this may just all blow over and things may go back to normal and we get our lives back and all good. And there is no conspiracy theory and, you know, it's all out of bullshit. I fucking hope that's the case. I really, 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 really hope that is the case. Yep. But if it's not the case, then we're in some serious fucking shit.
Yeah.
You know? So
I suppose it really is the frying pan and the fire, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the trouble. So even when I talked about the 50-50 split earlier with the people who are fearing the COVID and the people who are fearing the alternative lifestyle that may lead on into the future, neither one of them is good news, is it?
No.
Well, we've managed to catch up. We've managed to chew the fat, dude.
Yeah,
we've managed to talk about everything.
I think it's been the longest conversation I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, but you're talking to me and you know the score.
Yeah. No, I love talking to you, man. We have loads of good chats, man. It's good.
I know we do. Stuff. I know. And now people can see what the... I was going to say what the... I nearly swore. And now people can see what the fuck we talk about.
You can say fuck, shit and bollocks. Go on, I'll allow you to say that.
Brilliant. Well, take care, dude.
Yeah,
thanks for your time.
No, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll get this video sent over to you, and then just have a look. You know, I mean, have a look. Fucking hell, you're gonna have to watch the whole thing, aren't you, guy?
How long?
I don't know yet. I don't know. It doesn't say how long it is, but it's been a long time, man. I think
it may crash. I mean, we don't even. I mean, it could be about 3,000 gigabyte of data or something.
My computer might be getting that's my computer. Funny if it didn't record after all this, didn't it?
I know. Or I'd have to come down to Brighton to pick up the file.
A big fucking server that big.
All right, see how it goes, dude.
Yeah. Look after yourself, brother.
I will. And
all
you.
Right. And stay in touch. And
I will.
Yeah.
No, we'll get through this. We'll get through this, and you know we'll fight the cause if we have to. Simple as that.
I've got a samurai sword, so I'll be all right.
Well, I've got something else, but I can't declare that.
Yeah.
No, if you're a man in a white suit, you won't want to come round here. you want to be running as fast away. Run away, just run away.
Don't say any more. All right, man. Stay safe, and I will speak to you soon, bro.
All right, man. Take care then.
All right. See you later, John.
Let us know if it recorded all right as well.
Yeah, I will do. I'll send you a text.
All right. Cheers, dude. See you then. And Zoom was brilliant. Ta-da.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Bloody hell, my phone is it's cooking. All right, see ya.
No, man. Bye.